They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives, we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the... My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight to heal the wounds, undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life matters is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hi there. Good evening, angry bitches and justice seekers, social change warriors, social justice seekers. We are here again on a Wednesday night. Praise the Lord, we made it another week, and I'm so glad to be back with you all and glad you're joining me, whether it's live or on the replay. I appreciate that you're interested in what I'm trying to do here at Social Change Warriors, which is make a community that cares about victims of homicides, unsolved crimes that are just sitting out there while the families weep and cry and try to remember their loved one, but they have no justice. And that's a miserable feeling. There can't be a feeling worse. And I'm sure in some way we can all know what that feels like, right? What it feels like not to have justice, not in as large a way as losing a loved one in a violent manner, but definitely we all know what that sort of feels like, right? So that gives us the ability to have the empathy that we need to have for people that we want to advocate for, that we've seen their case in the media, or it's in our own hometown happening in our own backyard, or it's someone we know, a family member who doesn't have justice. So we're trying to form a community where we can all work together, care about those that have been unalived by the hand of someone else. And on Wednesdays is our night to talk about it. It's our night to get together, say whatever we want. Anyone's welcome on the platform. Anyone's welcome to call in. If you want to talk and you don't want to necessarily come on the platform with your video or your voice, you can use my Google number to call in with your voice, ask a question. make a bitch for the week to join the Angry Bitch Club on Wednesday nights. So we came up with our little hashtag about a month ago. On Wednesdays, we swear, because we noticed that a lot of these victims that we're following and their families that we're advocating for and standing for, their cases are so messed up. They're so not going the way they should be going, or there is some type of police dragging their feet, or even corruption, or just not very good police work, or the bad guy is just very smart and cunning and is getting away with it by no fault of the police, by no corruption. It's just sometimes, guys, the bad guys are getting away with these crimes because they are savvy and smart and evil. So we came up with our hashtag on Wednesday we swear, because we allow swearing here on Wednesdays. You can say anything you want, swear away, feel free. So I am your host and the founder of Social Change Warriors. Most of you have gotten to know me since last August. I'm Catherine Felton Page. I am a retired law enforcement officer from Wisconsin and retired social worker working in areas of community and domestic violence awareness, prevention, and advocating for victims of domestic violence. So Wednesdays, this is our night to just let it all out, say what we want to say about these various cases and victims that we're advocating for and standing for, and anything else that we notice out in the big bad world that's happening that really upsets us. And we just need to come together and have a little bitch session about it. So that's what we do on Wednesdays. On Thursdays, we are calling out corruption. So any of the cases where we really do feel that there is proof that there could be corruption going on in either the government of that town or the police, for example, the Karen Read trial, where there's some people don't feel there's anything wrong, there's no corruption. It's just a simple DUI. She was drunk. They had a fight. She ran over her boyfriend and left him to die in the snow. And that's it. They want her to go to jail for manslaughter. Some of them wanted her to go to jail for actually premeditating it, which is absolutely insane because there's no way that happened. They were having fun at a local bar 1 minute, and the next minute he's there in the lawn, supposedly dying after she maliciously, premeditatively ran him over. That there's no way that happened. So I get those of you that think it could be manslaughter, that you're still going with that old, it's just a DUI, it's just an OWI. But for myself and for many, many, many people following this case, we don't buy that or believe it. We do believe there is police corruption and government corruption. So that is a case that we would follow and advocate for justice for John O'Keefe and for freeing Karen Read on Thursdays. And then a couple of months, well, I guess back in January, I decided that I wanted to be able to let you all talk more about the Karen Read case because it really interests me. And I felt I had a lot of things to say that I couldn't say in other people's chats or other people's channels. So I was live streaming Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I decided to add a night for all of you that like to follow trials. We won't just exclusively follow the Karen Read trial. When that trial is over, we will look into another trial that you all might want to follow or that you're interested in, or one that I'm interested in. And we decide by going over the witness testimony from the prior week, were the witnesses truthful? Were they evasive? Or did they tell lies? And that's what we've been doing since January on Friday Night Lives, going over the Karen Read trial 1. And now we are going over the Karen Read trial 2. So hope you can join us for Friday Night Lives if you're interested in following along with the court cases. But when we talk about the Karen Read, John O'Keefe case on Thursdays, we are specifically more or less talking about what is the evidence that there is police corruption? What is the evidence that there is problems in that government? And so we discuss that and any other case for those that we've been able to advocate for with their family's permission or an advocate's permission, and tell you about their case and what's going on and why we believe and why the family believes there is corruption in the police and government with the non-solving of their loved one's homicide. So M word, YouTube doesn't like us to say murder. I don't get it. It's a word. It's in the dictionary. It's been used for centuries, maybe more than that. So I'll be interested. I'll have to look that up and find out. I still haven't found out what their beef is with some of these words. We're no longer allowed to say the S word. We have to say unaliving yourself. So I keep saying I'm going to look that up and figure out why this is happening, but I just never have time. Come here, Tanner. Come here, buddy. So I will definitely do that before next week so we can figure this all out. So welcome to everybody who's live tonight. Welcome to everybody who comes on the replay. I really appreciate you. I know there's a lot going on out there in the world and a lot of content for you to absorb. And so I appreciate that you're interested in what we're doing here, standing for victims of homicide, and some are missing still, as in the case of Where is Sarah Ebersol, our missing mother out of Marion County, Florida, just about a 2 hours away from my place in Volusia County. I'm still in Wisconsin right now. I'm supposed to be back home, but my other home, but I'm having sciatica issues. So a lot of you can probably relate to that. And I'll be getting up and down a lot tonight. It's pretty horrible. So I'm still here. I don't have the back power to drive myself back down south quite yet, but hopefully it'll start to subside. It's been a 2-week adventure with my first ever sciatica. So I'm sure a lot of you will and can relate to that. So I have a guest tonight, another special guest. She's been with us before. Her name is Hannah, and she is a survivor of an attempted M-word domestic violence. Terrible, terrible episode. I'll let her kind of reintroduce herself to all of you here and tell you a little bit about who she is here in just a second. So again, I just want to remind everybody, if you could please follow Michelle Crystal Tullis's Facebook page. I'm going to show you later on in the night where you can find that by showing you my Facebook page. She is looking for her sister. She has been looking for her sister for 2 years and almost 2 months now. Actually, it is 2 months, 2 years and 2 months. So, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Sarah and obviously why her life mattered, and her daughter, Cora, and what's going on with that case later on into the hour. So let me see if I have anything else to add. Okay, yes, and this is her person of interest. So let me remove that for now, and we'll come back to that here in a little bit. So I just want to remind you all that everything that I say on my channel, on Social Change Warriors, this is my opinion. And it is my opinion based on years of experience. First of all, I'm 62 years old. I've had multiple careers. So it's my opinion based on my years of experience, based on my education, based on my common sense, and based on the evidence that I read, the police reports I go over with the families, and the autopsy reports I have gone over with those that are passed away. So I form an opinion on all of that. And then I give that to you when we live. Now, obviously, until any of this is proven one way or the other, it will remain my opinion. Now, if that is so the case that some of these victims that we're advocating for, that their cases do end up finally getting solved and everything proves out equaling my opinion, right? Agreeing with me, then yay. But if it doesn't, then I'm okay with saying I was wrong. I based it on my opinion. I based it on my education. I based it on the evidence, but we're not always going to be right. So I always let people know I'm willing to tell you if I was wrong, and if the person what I thought didn't do it in the end, when hopefully the case does get solved, I will admit it to you. I have no problem doing that. But I have a method to my madness in how I decide if I believe I'm leaning towards a certain suspect or not. And that is just based on experience. And all of you have that same right to use your training and experience, your opinion of the evidence as you see it, as we presented here, to form your opinion. And I welcome all opinions in our friend zone. Everybody on YouTube calls it the chat box, but to me, it's the friend zone. If you're willing to stand for someone you don't know and come to this channel and advocate with me, then you are a friend of mine. So in our friend zone is where we talk about our opinions and what you think of my opinions. And you can disagree with me, I can disagree with you, and we can still get along. That doesn't always happen on the social medias, as we know. And so I am not an advocate at all for all this bickering that goes on in these cases where one side says he did it, one side says she did it, or he didn't do it, or she didn't do it. And then they're bickering and arguing, and they're using all of their precious time in a day that we don't have much of to begin with, fighting and bickering and arguing. And we don't condone that here. Everybody's respectful in our friend zone of each other's opinions. And that's why I like to say that this is my opinion. We also use fair use here, which means I will show you videos in a fair use capacity, meaning I will not show you the whole video that someone has put up. I will show bits and pieces of it with my commentary and your commentary in the friend zone, because we are an educational learning advocacy channel. So we are allowed to use other people's works as long as we tell you who that person is. And we only use it sparingly to educate and to talk, and to, on Wednesdays, to bitch about. On Thursdays, to educate you on the corruption and on the crime. And on Fridays, to literally give our opinion if a witness is lying or not. But that's how we're allowed to use fair use. So I always like to let you all know that. So welcome back, Hannah. It's so good to see you, my lovely.
So good to see you. You look beautiful.
Oh, you're so sweet. Internally, I don't feel beautiful.
I
My
think
body
this
is screaming at me. So,
I understand the sciatic. That is
uh,
not fun at all. But I
it's
think this is the first time that I've been on and seen you without your ball cap. Like
right.
you're
You're right. That's
okay,
right. I
girl.
love my ball caps, but I'm traveling and I wasn't going to bring all 7 of them on the road. So I have 2 with me. But yeah, I was just got my hair cut recently. So I thought I better let the audience see what I look like without a ball cap on. That might not be a bad idea. So.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, you're so sweet. So are you, and so are all of the women that we stand for who have survived and those who did not survive domestic violence. They're all beautiful individuals. We're all different. We're all unique. We all bring different things to the table when we're in our relationships or when we're by ourselves, when we're independent. So that's what we want to honor women on Wednesdays and talk about ways we can uplift women and especially survivors of intimate partner violence and domestic violence. So I'm really happy to have you back. I'm so sorry for what you went through. You know, we've talked about it a lot and I know, but can you just share with our audience a little bit about what happened to you, Hannah, almost 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, well, it's about 18 and a half years right now. Um, on October 13th, 2007, my husband at the time came in and poured gas on me while I was sleeping around 5:30 in the morning with our children, and my niece was also sleeping in the home and set me on fire. And I
It's hard
managed
to
to.
even it's hard to imagine that. Like it's just so horrible that it seems like something out of a horror movie that you would say, oh, that's fiction. I don't need to think about it too much because that was just fiction. But yours was not fiction. Yours was real life terror.
It absolutely was, and I think the saddest part is how many other survivors or stories just like mine um, that have to do with flammable liquids or even um, what they call chemical burns. Like I've met a girl that her abuser put something in her shampoo
Oh my
and
God.
it chemically burned her completely. So to say that I'm not alone is really, and here we go, earmuffs if you don't want to hear it. To say that I'm not alone in this world and what I went through is fucking bullshit. That it is something that happens often.
Right?
Um, and I do believe right before this happened to me in October 13th of 2007, I believe Maury Povich had 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 a story about a girl that was working. She was at her place of job, her
Mhm.
place of employment, and her abuser came in and poured gas on her and set her on fire in her place of business.
Oh my gosh.
Um, so, and it happens. It should never happen, but it happens often, and that's the crazy part to me, because fire is something that is so undeniable.
Oh, yes.
You're not going to set something on fire that you intend to want or keep or that you care about.
That's right.
You're not.
That's right.
You can say, okay, well, I thought I was just trying to shoot at you or whatever, and I didn't actually mean to hit you. I think you can even maybe use that defense, even though it's not a good one. But I'm just saying, like, as for an example, on weapons that people use, like flammable liquids, that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
But they all are. And one thing I always want every survivor victim to know is that all abuse feels the same. Whether for me it does. The physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the financial abuse, those are all, they break your soul.
Right.
Nobody wants to look in the mirror and see a black eye, but then nobody wants to be stuck in their head thinking, am I worthless? Do
Right.
I know how to cook? Am I dumb because I don't have any extra money this week and I didn't make the $100 he gave me on payday? I didn't make that last all week. I'm stupid? I need to figure this out more. Like those issues to me are more extreme than waiting for a black eye to heal or It's just the emotional toll that it takes on your mental health.
Right. And something really, this was something that I learned during my years studying domestic violence and working with domestic violence victims at the shelters, was how many times pregnant women, the amount of pregnant women that's the first incident of domestic violence in the home is when she becomes pregnant. Because for an abuser who does have narcissistic personality disorder, they're no longer the head of, they're no longer the big shot. Now there's a baby. Now this woman is paying attention to something in her stomach that all of a sudden seems more important to her than him. And this is what all the research tells us as to how this goes down this slippery slope. And abuse, it's hard to even imagine, how could a man ever hit his own wife, someone he loves, or his girlfriend or his fiance, or whoever you are to this person, whether you just live together because you don't want to be married, or whatever the case is, you are someone's partner and they are your partner and you love them, right? And then they're going to strike you anytime. It's hard to fathom. But when you're pregnant, it's an extra line of egregious, just terror to me that anyone could hit, harm, kick, hurt, shove, push a pregnant woman. And then the verbal abuse that comes in after the baby's born amps up, because now the abuser, whether they're narcissistic or not, or whether they've been diagnosed as narcissistic, there's a big percentage of abusers who are men who are also suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. And then it becomes, words get involved more too, as well. Like, oh, when are you going to lose that baby weight? Boy, how much weight did you gain with this pregnancy? I don't think you gained that much with the last pregnancy. Your thighs are too fat. Boy, your thighs look like cottage cheese. I'm not making this shit up, people. These are things that were either said to me or were said to friends of mine or to domestic violence victims that I worked with in shelters. These are all anything that Hannah and I share with you, we heard or we know it was said to one of the victims that we have met or worked with or met through this work. Just about anything that you can say that you know is going to cut someone to the bone, that's what the narcissist abuser will use to make you feel lesser, because then they feel bigger. And it's a horrible disorder, and it's extra horrible when they take it to violence. It's bad enough when it's only verbal. And I'm sure at this point in most of your lives, you have all encountered someone that you think might have this disorder. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. My master's is in social work. I've studied the disorder. I've seen the testimonies of it from many, many people in shelters that I worked with in my volunteer years and after grad school. I myself experienced verbal abuse from several different people in my life. So we can tell what this is. And now that we know more about narcissistic personality disorder, because it's actually being talked about, there's tells, there's signs. Now, again, we can't diagnose anybody. We can't say for sure this person has this. But if somebody has all the tells of, I have little dots all over my skin, and I burn easy. And if you didn't see, if I was just telling you adjectives about myself, you'd say, oh, you must be a redhead. You must have freckles, right? Well, it's the same thing. We can unscientifically diagnose people in our lives based on the tells that they have. And those with narcissistic personality disorders have tells, and they're very clear, they're very obvious, and you don't have to be dating one or married to one for very long. If they hid all that from you, which they're very good at, because they're very good at masking and being actors, what they do out in the community is so much a lot of the time. These are heads of corporations, heads of banks, athletes, movie stars,
The
really
nicest guy in the room.
right. The Mr. Personality, Mr. Rico Suave, when he's hosting a dinner party or at a cocktail party, and the neighbors think he's great because he volunteers to do this, that, and the other thing. And no one knows what happens when he takes the mask off and walks in your house. No one knows that. And most women do not want to share that. It's embarrassing to them. And that darn question that comes up all the time, why does she stay then? Why does someone stay with someone who's abusive? Why does someone stay with a narcissist? That is not an easy question to answer. And it's never easy to undo something. As those of you that have gone through a divorce, you know how difficult it is on yourself, on the other person, on the children, if there's children involved, pets. houses are involved, cars are involved. It's not easy to get a divorce. And when you're dealing with someone who's large and in charge and very narcissistic, they will make it absolutely horrible for you to divorce them, because divorcing them is you taking power away from them. They don't want you to do that. They don't want you to divorce them. They what do they do? Then what are they going to do? Then they're going to have to go find another source, another person that they can put down and abuse. So many women don't know how to leave their abusive husbands. They don't have the tools to leave. They don't have the money to leave. They don't have anywhere to go. If they have children, they're terrified that they're going to have joint custody then with this person, and they're only going to see their kids half the time. And then what if this person tries to take their kids from them, like they threaten to do when you even bring, they're only going to see their kids half the time.
Sorry.
Then what if this person tries, I can hear myself. Yeah.
It's because we have smart TVs in the house, so somebody's remote was controlling my TV.
No worries.
Okay.
We're good.
Sorry.
But it's just a vicious circle that women who are in domestic violence households find themselves in. And there's no easy answer to how do I leave? How do I get out? And you of all people know that because you did try to leave once, right?
Actually, I left more than once. And the thing about my situation is I always blamed it on the substances. And the truth is, the first time he ever did put his hands on me was when I was 7 months pregnant, while I was driving, and he had elbowed me. And of course, later, he played it off, this, that, and the other. I'm pregnant. The relationship had been rocky. I'm not the nicest, most kindest person ever at all times either. I wasn't completely innocent as far as,
Yeah.
Was I always perfect? No, absolutely not. I did not think that my ex-husband was capable of doing what he did to me while I was sleeping. But I did know that he was capable of hurting me extremely physically out of nowhere for no reason other than I always attributed it to whatever substances he was on.
Okay.
And I want to touch on the victim shaming, because
hang on to that for a minute. Let's
Okay.
get to that one too. Yeah, I want you to, because that you know a lot about this, and I we have a perfect segue into that. So so Bees Got a Buzz, ladies, on Wednesday nights. That's what we come here to do on Wednesdays, join together and buzz about things that are bothering us in the world, where women are involved, where unfairness for women is involved, violence for women, unjust, like Karen Reed being framed for a crime she didn't commit. At least that's what those of us that tend to come to my channel believe. And I know Hannah feels that way about this case as well. So let me just run through what we're going to talk about tonight, and then hopefully we'll get to it all, because I'm going to hope my back lasts for our normally scheduled 2 hours together. But if it doesn't, we might have to cut a little short tonight. But we're going to touch a little bit about the Diddy trial, because that obviously involves exploitation of other humans, specific and in many cases women, and also domestic violence. So we are going to touch on that tonight. And I'm going to remind you a little bit about, we met Mizzy a few weeks ago back, and about Sandra Birchmore and the horrible domestic violence, which we could call it that at the end because of her relationship with the man on the far left, Matthew, my left, Matthew Farwell, and what happened to her, and remind you of where that case is currently sitting. And then we will kind of go into, I'll ask you this right now, and you can just, if you're with me live and you want to type your answer, feel free. If you don't, that's okay. You can email it to me, or you can type it in the replay friend zone area. How many victims of human trafficking are there in the USA? So if you think you have a guess, or you're not sure, Hannah, do you have a guess?
Honestly, hang on. I had it on mute because I had to turn my fan on. I'm sitting in, my room has no air conditioning, and it's about 85 degrees in here, and I don't do heat. But I can't have my fan on, or you'll hear the playback. So honestly, I don't know what those statistics are.
It's pretty ugly. So I'm going to tell you.
Yeah,
So
I would think that it's extremely high, though.
Yes, 1 million plus. And that was from a study 2 years ago. So that was from 2023. So I'll keep my eye open for any new studies that come up, but it's pretty terrifying. And we'll, talk more about that as we get into this, talking about what happened with Diddy and his ex. So then I'll tell you a little bit more about Sandra Birchmore and what happened with her case. And then we're going to chat a little bit about the Karen Reed trial and the women that I felt were worthy of being mentioned on the Angry Bitch Club this week that we can bitch about either for them or against them. So we'll bring up these individuals, these women that were part of the Karen Reed trial the last 3 weeks. And then we will talk a little bit about a hot mic moment that happened with Judge Bev today. Kara's going to come in towards the end. She's busy right now, but she's going to join us towards the end. And we will give a little bit of an update on her husband, Jason Veach, and what's going on with that injustice that we've been covering on Thursdays, some Wednesdays and some Thursdays. So that's our outline for tonight. And so let me run it back here, and we'll start out with a little bit of a group chat and a chat with our beautiful Hannah about this really bizarre, I guess you could call it, when you find out, when the Me Too movement started back in 2017 with, Wine, how do we say his name again? Was it Weinberger or what's his name? Harvey.
Harvey Weinstein?
Weinstein, thank you. I could not think of his name. When all of that came out, what abusive nature he had towards the actresses. And I mean, most of us we're on the ball enough to know that Hollywood can be very ugly. Any type of plays, New York, Hollywood, wherever they're producing movies and shows and plays, and there's all this pressure to succeed and pressure for these women to be constantly youthful and beautiful and too skinny, and then you're dealing with a lot of, unfortunately, misogynistic men who are in these big positions of power in the industry. And, rumors have been swirling for years about all the abuse that goes on with a lot of these actresses. And
That's right. You're speaking about Harvey Weinstein, also known as Oprah Winfrey's best friend?
The producer director.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. I just wanted to put that up there.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing: is can we ever prove, unless somebody admits it, that they knew what that person was doing? Right? How do we know for sure that how do we know what our friends are doing behind closed doors, when we're not there? So it's hard to know. I mean, look what happened with Jeffrey, with Epstein and his little village of madness and disgusting pedophile behavior on his island. I mean, they thought they were all getting away with that. No problem. They had done it for so many years, all of the big shots that were going to that island, and we still don't know for sure, obviously, who all was there and what they did or didn't do. But I guess, we can venture a guess based on a lot of the rumors that have come out and the witnesses that have actually testified and told their stories. And now we lost another survivor of the island. She supposedly, allegedly unalived herself. And I mean, that's just heartbreaking to hear that you survived these years of abuse. And then of course, a lot of people don't believe she unalived herself. They believe that it was, they framed her to look like she unalived herself, but that she was, a victim of homicide. So that's just it's such an ugly world, and it's almost hard to even fathom that people can look one way, like we were talking about that mask, that they can walk out into the public and wear this mask as being this successful businessman. And we see these people on TV and they appear to be, I don't even like to use the word normal, because what is normal? But they appear to be successful people that are living a decent life for all intents and purposes. And then someone has the ability to have a network of support behind them where they can finally come out and say, hey, this happened to me. My life mattered, and my life was uprooted and taken from me by this violent person. And it has to take so much guts and stamina to come out knowing that there will be people that will accuse you of lying, right?
Well, can you even imagine being just I'm not going to say normal, but I'm going to say a regular person who's introduced to someone who holds so much power and who are the gatekeepers on whether you get to fulfill your dreams.
Exactly.
We've been watching it play out for a really long time. It's really sad to think that people that we grew up very much loving, that we thought were empathetic, kind humans, and that we strive to want to, aspire to be. And you find out all of, the malicious hearsay, because, okay, let's tell the truth. At this point, there's not been a lot of convictions. There's only just been a lot of talk and a lot of unaliving by selves.
Right.
Very mysterious. Very.
Exactly. And it's, and Kathy says, hello, Hannah. I'm happy to know you survived and are here.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks for supporting me and my venture to start Social Change Warriors since last August. You've been to so many live streams and I appreciate your support so much. So I'm going to, so these are the twins and his other daughter of Diddy. And I guess they've been in court. I feel for them because, they obviously didn't ask for any of this. And they obviously have a relationship with their father that is probably completely separate from his little freak offs and all of his, his weird, freaky, longings and what he does behind closed doors. A lot of times the children have no clue what their parents are up to behind closed doors. There's no way that they can, because the parents obviously keep it from their children.
As a parent, if these type of allegations were against me, whether I was guilty or not, now this is me speaking. Sorry, my window's open and you're going to hear some things, but this is me speaking. If allegations in this genre were against me, sexual allegations, whether they were true or not, I would never want my children, especially my daughters, to be a part of that. I understand that he's wanting his support, but to me, that's just the narcissistic control in him. Like, why do these little girls, and I say little because they're young,
yeah,
why should they even be in the courtroom? Or why is it so necessary for his defense for them to have to show up just to walk out? Because why should they are essentially being re-victimized. They've already been victimized because of who their father is. Yeah. Sitting through this trial or hearing any of this stuff, whether it is true or not, is abusive to these children.
Right. And they had to leave today because they were showing photos that even now it's not being televised, but this is just being reported by those reporters that are allowed to, I think, be in the courtroom, that the photos were really hard to take, and that many jury members were having a very hard time looking at them.
Yeah. So, they walked out yesterday. Did they go back in today and walk out again?
I thought that was today that they exited because of all the photos that were being shown, and they had to leave because they're underage. I think
that actually they walked out yesterday.
That was yesterday. Okay, sorry about that. I wasn't sure.
Oh no. I'm following this case. I am deep diving in it. I'm listening to everything everybody's got to say because I want to be able to make the best, what I think. I want to know what I'm interested in it.
Right. And I think what the defense was, and you can tell me because I didn't listen. I didn't see the transcript of the opening statements. I just picked up some things here and there off of Twitter and Facebook and listening to the news, and that they're presenting that even though these freak offs that he does are not everyone's cup of tea, to say the least, that's an understatement, but that he wasn't trafficking because that these women were not made to do this. They were there of their own, he's saying they were there of their own accord, that they were gave permission to be part of all of this, so that he was not trafficking, which is what he's being charged for. So they're obviously trying to prove that maybe, and then of course, where this is involved with his ex, with, is it Cassie, right? Cassie.
Yeah. Cassie Ventura,
talked about how much money. So I guess this was the first time that she ever revealed how how much she did get in the lawsuit settlement. Do you know what that amount was? I didn't catch it.
Absolutely. And I am so proud to know that it is $20 million than what I thought. I thought it was originally, and this says so much. We need to know that obviously Diddy settled out of court, and it was supposed to be, I had heard the word 30 million, but they
Wow.
are using 50 million now. So she already got that.
Good.
She has no reason to come on the stand
Right.
and lie about anything. Everything she has said and her forthcomingness,
Yeah.
I find her to be extremely credible and honest. And we need to know that, like, this was not just women. This was a lot of men that were sex trafficked.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I was just about to get to that. This was
Yeah.
not, these were crimes against both men and women. Boys, I
Mhm.
mean, the rumors of the boys, they were in their
Mhm.
teens that he was representing and promising to, you know, get their careers off the ground.
It would be phenomenally amazing to see Justin Bieber open his mouth and speak on what he knows. And it would be amazing to see the healing that he would receive and the love and the support that he would receive. Everybody, well, I am on the edge of my chair just waiting. Justin Bieber is he's a big part of this. And that poor kid is going through so much. I know he's an adult and I know he's made his decisions. I
Right.
get that.
He has
But
kids
he
now
was-
too, right? He's married and
Yeah,
has
he
kids.
just had him and Haley just had a little boy, and it is so obvious the trauma and the abuse and the interchanges of him and Diddy on camera. Like, you can see it. It's undeniable. At one point, there's some footage of Diddy walking up to Justin Bieber. And this wasn't too many. I don't know when this was exactly. It was like maybe a couple years ago, within the last couple years. And he's walking up to Justin Bieber and he's patting him down and he's whispering in Justin's ear. And that was like super creepy.
Yeah.
To me. There's that. I think that Justin Bieber feels like probably the same way Cassie does, as far as she doesn't want anyone knowing the shame and the torture that she went through.
Right. It's embarrassing too, because you do feel like it was your fault when you've been in abuse for that long, that worms in your head that I'm not good enough. This is my fault. I brought it on. I made him mad. I didn't do enough. I wasn't good enough. And all that just swirls in your brain. And then you also, you become so used to what's happening to you that you literally don't know how to get out. You don't know how to move out of it and how to move on from it. So I've got the clip here that it's disturbing. So trigger alert for those of you that have been in this situation where you have been kept against your will or hurt this way. If you need to step away, it's not a very long surveillance video, but it is graphic and it's hard to watch, but we're going to take a peek at it because we're trying to assess, in our opinion, how we feel about this case and this trial and the accusations against him. So let me go back here into my tech area here and let me see here. Let me know that it's playing because I don't see you guys anymore.
I got my TV going and I'm on my phone.
The tech area. So the headline on this I found today was federal prosecutor Emily Johnson was grilling Cassie on day 3 of her testimony at Diddy's sex trafficking trial in New York City when the questioning turned to a book she wrote about the alleged abuse she suffered at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs, her former longtime boyfriend. So let's take a peek. They have a warning up here, graphic video. Let me know if it's playing. So here she is trying to go to the elevator. She's got the hood up. Got her looks like a small bag and a purse. And what's interesting is when she's now just putting looks like her sliders on her tennis shoes. So she tried to get out. He's either sleeping, right, or he's in the bathroom.
I think he was supposed to have been in the shower.
That's what I think. Yeah, here he comes. So, yep, he's got the towel around him. So he realized she was gone. So there he throws her to the ground and kicks her kicks her right in the leg. So, you know, there's going to be a bad bruise there, grabs her things. So he's basically dehumanizing her now because he throws her on the ground. Now he's got her things. So he's got her things. And now he's going to drag her back into the room. And she's trying to get up. See that she's sitting back up there by the mirror. It looks like she's going to try to make an attempt to leave again, maybe, or just going to get some of her things. Nope, she's walking away. I think
this whole ordeal lasts a lot longer than what I originally had thought. What they showed here
okay,
today.
so she went to the phone. It looks like there's a phone there. So she's on the phone right now. I don't know.
She's calling security.
Okay, got it. So he's like, I'm taking your thing. So now that's a classic, move of aggression and of power because, hey, bitch, I'm taking your things. I've got your purse, your ID, your phone, your clothes. You're not going nowhere. I'm in charge. And you can just see the way he was walking with almost like his chest pumped up. You can kind of see in the mirror now that he's assaulting her.
He's so angry.
So he just did something to her. He took whatever she picked up off the floor. So now he's taking that from her. So
and you can see, he's going to go back and come back, but you can see in that mirror, you'll be able to see him come and try to sit down.
He just threw whatever was on that table, he just threw it at her. Did you see that? Yeah. So he's continuing to, and he's got,
just like decorations in a hotel, but
probably, yeah.
You know what's crazy about this is when he rents out a room, he rents out that whole floor.
Mm-hmm.
And so when security does end up coming in, they're like, you're disturbing the other guests. But they're like, I'm sure that a lot of people who are famous probably rent out the whole floor, but not for as nefarious as reasons as him.
Right. This one doesn't really let me make it bigger from the actual. Let me see if this will work. That might help. How's that? Is that better?
I mean, it looks great on my TV. I can see it very clearly. So she's such a psycho.
Right. I mean, you can just see that now he's just walking with that, I am in charge. This is my show. You're just in my show. I'm the head of it. And
all the threats are coming out.
Right.
And then there he goes and sits
we can't hear any of that, but we pretty much have a feeling, we can imagine what he was saying to her.
Well, she testified to it. The thing about it is we never know that they're evil when we meet them.
No, we don't.
And, Cassie testified that in the beginning, she was okay with the freak offs. She didn't know it was going to go to the extent I think that it ended up going.
Well, to each his own, right? I mean, we're not here to judge. We're here to stand for victims of abuse, but we're not here to judge what they do in their sexual lives. What they do in consent in their sexual lives is their own business. It might not be my cup of tea. It might not be anybody's cup of tea, but the people who are involved. But everybody is different, and we all have our different wants and needs, and we're not here to say anything that's done with consent is none of my business, right?
Absolutely.
This is obviously not consent. This is showing violence. This is domestic violence because he has struck her, he has tossed her, he has kicked her, he's verbally assaulting her. We can definitely imagine and know that. So this is just a very small little piece of an example of what domestic violence looks like. And many of the survivors that I've spoken with, and that includes Levita, who you all met a couple months ago, who my sister and I did a documentary for Levita on her experience of surviving a homicide attempt. She was strangled by her boyfriend, and she was able to get away, and she grabbed a knife from the kitchen and basically said, if you take one more step towards me, I'll do whatever I have to do to survive, because you're trying to kill me, so I'm going to survive this. You're not surviving, I'm surviving. So she was willing to do what it took to save her life that night. And she talks about how when he would attack her, he had death in his eyes for her. I remember the first time she said that when I interviewed her, it made my hair on the back of my neck stand up. She literally said he had death in his eyes for me. And I'll never forget that. And I think that's what you saw that night when your so-called husband poured gasoline on you. I'm sure she's seeing that right now as he's violently trying to keep her from leaving. And many other survivors that I've been able to meet with in domestic violence shelters they've never said those words to me though. Levita was the first that ever said to me those words. I'll never forget it, what she says. And I think we'll show her documentary at the end of the night tonight again, because it's so powerful for women that if you are out there and you're watching this and you're still in a domestic violence house, we want to try to give you as much courage as we can to try to make those emergency steps. But please, for the love of God, do not just tell your husband you're leaving or tell your boyfriend you're leaving without a safety plan. You absolutely have to have a safety plan. Make sure someone else is with you. The biggest mistake that a lot of women make is they become fed up. And I don't blame them, because I was there myself in several relationships where you become fed up, you're done with abuse, and you just tell the person, I'm done. You suddenly get all this courage that you didn't know you had, and you're like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm leaving you. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. Whatever you say, whatever verbiage you use. But that's the most dangerous day of your life. The day you tell domestic violence abuser that you're going to leave them, or you threaten to leave them. So please, I'm just giving you my best advice. If you're ready to go, you know it's time, and you're ready to leave, make sure you talk to somebody first. Talk to a counselor. Call the domestic violence hotline. Get a hold of me. I'll get you to the right resources, because you have to have a leave plan. A leave plan will save your life. And she obviously decided at this particular moment that she was not putting up with this crap anymore, and that's attempting to leave him. First, take her things and get the heck out of there. And he did not want that. So this looks like to be probably security.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that was I believe they've had him on the stand. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's actually, if I don't know if you can hear it, but he's laughing with Diddy. He's kind of, I think he's trying to calm the situation.
Right.
But it does bother me that Diddy's whole defense is, it's none of your business what happens in my bedroom. And that is, like you said, that's 1,000% correct. But this is not about that. This is about abuse, control, coercion, manipulation, blackmail. In the beginning, things are always great. And then
because they love you, because they need to have a person they can control. Most domestic violence abusers will not be single for very long, because they have to have that person in their life that they can control. And when they're shopping for their next person, if their current person left them, or if they unalived someone and got away with it, and they're shopping for their next person, they're looking for kind, sweet, empathetic ladies who they believe they can mold and manipulate and abuse, that will not ever leave them, because in their mindset, you're never leaving.
Kim Porter didn't get away for real either, and that was the mother of his twin daughters and two of the sons. One of the sons is not his biological son, but he has raised him.
Now, can you? I don't know a lot about her. Can you tell us a little bit about her? I don't know if he's going to come back on screen here or not. I forgot what happens. I just saw her walk down the hall.
Well, Kim Porter was with Diddy. She got with him in the early 90s. Oh,
here she comes again. Okay, in the early 90s, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And she was with him until he decided to put his sights on Cassie. Okay. She was actually didn't have a choice in the matter of being in a relationship with him, a lot like Cassie didn't have a choice in being in a relationship with him.
Right.
That, at some point, it stopped being their decision on things that they wanted to do with him willingly. Mm-hmm. And it became forcible. And with Kim, she actually was writing her autobiography. She was writing her story. She was writing the truth. And she was going to be publishing that. And somehow she came up with some pneumonia-like symptoms and passed from pneumonia. And someone has leaked, which I'm very grateful. Someone has leaked that manuscript.
Oh, really?
And yes, that someone has leaked it. It's about a 5 hour long listen on YouTube. I'll send it to you if you want to hear it. I'll have to find it.
Yeah.
But I found it at some point about a year ago or so. I don't know when I found it. Maybe it was like less than a year ago. But somebody leaked it. And if what is in this manuscript is true, and a lot of it sounds extremely true, a lot of it is a lot of the same stuff that Cassie has said or that other people have said that are personal, that are like his personal habits and things that Diddy does.
Right.
He's a self-made millionaire. I think he was a self-made millionaire already at 21 years old. I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, that sounds about right from what I've read. I've listened to obviously some of his music for years, right? So, and I heard about his strange behavior and that he had freakish kind of sexual things going on. I think that's been rumored for years too. I mean, this is back in March of 2016 that this happened.
Well, and he told Kim Porter that and I believe because his mentor was Clive Davis, and of course we're not gonna be able to go there because it's all alleged.
Right.
But he was told to start recording everything, and nobody will ever, F with you. And so, I believe it was like 1991. It might have been 92, but I believe it was 91. Diddy started making sure that
now he's got her again. Why do you think she hasn't left at this point? He just grabbed her again and drug her out from wherever she just was. And the security guard, where did he go?
The security guard is not, I don't think that security guard actually works for the hotel. I think that security actually works, or maybe he does work for the hotel because she did call him on it through the hotel phone.
Yeah, I thought so. But he just like grabbed her again, and she's in that, wherever that space is over there. It must be like a little alcove maybe.
I want to say that she appeared with him the very next day for a red carpet event.
Really?
And they showed the picture today. I believe she was wearing a blue dress.
Oh, really?
And it was a picture that was shown in court today where she was trying to say, which she's saying, if you zoom in on this picture, you'll see exactly where there is a bruise on my leg. And I wore my hair a certain way this way so that it would hide this. And she was so young when she got entangled with Diddy.
Yeah, 23, I think, right? Was that the age that I heard today when I was listening?
Very young.
Yeah. Oh, he is still in there.
She signed a 10-album deal with him. So he owned her. Even if they weren't in a relationship, he owned her.
Right.
She just, in the beginning, everything's so much fun. I mean, you're with one of the biggest music moguls in the world.
Right.
And I would like to say that I love all music, but I've actually never been a Puff Daddy fan. Never been.
Yeah.
The Missing You song that he did or whatever, the remix, which that's sad now too. But I was never a fan, and I don't really know why I wasn't. I just wasn't. And so all of this,
not everybody, we don't. That's what makes music so special and beautiful, is that it touches each of us differently. I can listen to a song and get a total different vibe than you might get. It might mean a totally different thing to me.
Yeah,
that's what's so amazing about music. Now he's on the phone again, so that security guy, whoever that actually is, keep going out. Okay, so that's the end of it.
But they were obviously still working with Diddy. I mean, I think he was trying to do his best to help Kathy, because he's Diddy. But I think he was trying to decompress the situation and trying to do the best thing for Cassie. But there's so much control here. She testified on the stand about how, in the beginning it was very much consensual until it wasn't. And then he obviously had her on camera. He was told, like I was saying, he was told, you need to put everything. You have footage of everything, and nobody will ever screw you over because, you just get them at their lowest points and they're embarrassed. And if there's somebody trying to break out into Hollywood, whether it's singing and being a music artist, or whether it's being an actress or an actor, that type of blackmail. And it could be something that starts out really innocent where you're just like, oh gosh, I don't want nobody to know that. but
Right.
he uses it, and then he uses it to get you to come back, and then it gets even more worse stuff on you, and the next thing you know, like you're now, it's like today was Cassie on trial because they're
Right.
coming at her like she was, and that's what they're trying to say, that she's a co-conspirator, that these were things that she was willing and wanted to be a part of, that she's the one who was handing the money to the, sex worker. And that might have been very much true, except for the part where she testified and said that, like, in certain text messages, she said some things that made her look some type of way, because she was like, oh, I can't wait for the freak off. I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. But it's understandable that she would say that, because those are the types of things that made him happy.
Right.
Those are the type of things that she did so that she could have some peace in their relationship.
So this is interesting because just recently you've been following the Sarah Ebersol case with me and with Sarah's sister Michelle, and one of the comments that Sarah made when she filed one of her petitions with the court was that, I don't remember if she emailed this to Michelle or she texted it to her. I'll have to check with Michelle because I hate to misspeak on it, but it's something like that. It was a written communication that Sarah had written months before this happened to her, before she disappeared, that, just let me, basically let me handle Joe my way, because I need to do certain things, because if when Joe's happy, everybody's happy. And you don't want Joe to be unhappy. And that's exactly what a lot of domestic violence victims end up getting in their head. As long as I do A, B, and C, then D, E, and F won't happen. But if I don't do A, B, and C, then D, E, and F are going to happen, and it's going to be bad for me. I'm either going to get beat up, kicked, punched, or he's going to take my money, or he's going to take my car privileges, or whatever that they get threatened with by their abuser.
He didn't even have to physically hurt her. He could emotionally destroy her career, her reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this woman had to sit on the stand yesterday and today and talk about allowing people to urinate in her mouth. Is that something anyone would do?
I know that. I mean, the things this jury that, they got the short straw of all the juries, right? Because I'm technically, I've been called to jury duty here in Madison. I'm supposed to go to jury duty the last week of this month, but now with my back being totally out and this sciatica, I put in, to be excused, and I haven't heard yet. So that jury that ended up getting the call for this trial, it could have been anybody. It could have been hundreds of people, but it ends up to be these. I think, do they have 16 or 18? Do you recall? I read that today.
They have
12 plus the alternates. They have 4 or 6 alternates, I think, right?
I think you're right. 4 or 6 alternates. I know on the jury it's 4 women. I believe they said 4 women of color, so
Right.
not 4 white women. And then I believe the 6 men are diverse. I'm not really sure exactly what the jury looks like.
But I mean, what a horrible, what a horrible jury. You're going to see and hear things that you may not have ever heard in your life, and that you don't want to hear. Some things we don't want to know happen or exist, because it's just so out of our realm, out of what we, the lane we travel in, that we feel better off not knowing about some of the things that go on in the world that we don't need to know about, that we don't want to know about.
But the thing about it is, and they haven't cross-examined Cassie yet.
Is that tomorrow?
I do believe so. I don't know if the prosecution is done with her yet, but I think she's done a fabulous job on admitting where she probably made mistakes, but then also like putting a broader spectrum on, maybe why she made mistakes at a young age. We all make mistakes.
Well, sure. And they're under that pressure of wanting to start a career, and they feel fame is just a handshake away, or
10 records.
A night of sex away, I mean, there's
signing a contract for a 10 record deal.
That's a
Some
big,
people spend their whole lives and don't even get half that. And she didn't get it. I think she only got to release one album. So like he owned her.
right?
But and we were talking about earlier when we're talking about that his daughter's walking out, can you imagine the jury that doesn't want to be a part of it and then looking at the fact that he's allowing his daughters to be in here and listen to this, even if it's false, even if he's
Right.
innocent. He's not. But even if he was innocent,
Right.
this is traumatic.
Right. But
This is worse than the R. Kelly trial.
The prosecution's going to have to prove with the evidence that he was trafficking. Though they're going to have to prove that these individuals, men and women,
that can
did not
be
give consent or permission.
Human
Beyond
trafficking.
a reasonable doubt,
Human trafficking, I believe, what they're looking at it on his charge is the purchase of someone and then flying across state lines and stuff like that.
Right.
Now, the person might have been a willing sex worker, okay? But that doesn't make, I guess, it right. That's where but it's still illegal for him to travel with them, or
Right.
him or her to travel and leave the state.
Right.
Or, whatever they were coerced into doing. Because there were several sex workers that were regulars that were hired multiple times by Diddy and Cassie. And Cassie was always the one in most circumstances that paid the worker. And that's what I think the very first person that took the stand to testify was a regular worker that had witnessed abuse on Cassie and that witnessed Cassie being made to do things during these freak off sessions.
Right. Julie
that she didn't want to do. Who's joining?
Yes, I can. Okay, just a minute, Tanner. Okay, stand by. You keep going, Hannah. I'm just gonna mute this for a minute. Tanner's talking.
But I was very proud of Cassie. She talked a lot about how, because they're trying to victim shame her on the drug situation and on staying with him for multiple years. And that only says to me the actual level of abuse she was dealing with. I mean, could you imagine, like, it's your career, your dream, so that's going to be gone. And then if you do leave, he's going to humiliate you. So you're not just going to just get your dreams taken away, but you're going to be publicly humiliated and shamed by people and humiliated. Like I'm sure that she never wanted to have to speak about this, which is why they settled out of court. And that's why Diddy settled out of court, because he knew he was guilty. But they're trying to basically say that she is just as guilty as Diddy because she participated in the freak offs and because she, did the drugs and this, that, and the other. And she had the perfect answer, which was the truth. I did the drugs because I needed the drugs because I needed to numb myself because I could not handle the feelings that I was feeling while I was doing these jobs, as she called them, because those are the things that in the beginning she thought, oh, this is something kind of, spontaneous and quirky, that we'll do, which that would have been their business. But then whenever he was like, oh, well, I've got you on camera, at that point, that's when the what the fuck did I get myself into situation came into her head. I'm sure. And then they had access to not only every kind of drug you could ever want,
right,
but then they also had access to, the IV fluids that they would do after the freak offs to replenish their vitamins and make them look, beautiful and stunning and glamorous. Like the whole cycle is disgusting. And if it wasn't control and it wasn't abuse and it was their personal business, then that would be fabulous for them. But there is just too much evidence and too many witnesses, because that's another thing. All of the witnesses that are going to get called up, and the fact that everybody's like, oh, well, all these people that witnessed this, why aren't they getting charged? Well, we know the government makes deals. They have a 99% conviction rate for a reason. They make deals. Are other people guilty? I'm so sure. Do I think that if Cassie gets charged with something, then I'll speak on that. But Cassie hasn't been charged as far as I know. Nobody has ever accused Cassie of hurting them. Have you ever heard Cassie being accused of hurting anyone?
No.
Diddy
Guys, we're going to take a 5-minute stretch break because Tanner needs to use the bathroom and I need to stretch. So I'm going to stretch my sciatica. So we're going to take a 5-minute stretch break and we will be right back. Thanks, everyone. See you in 5.
Are you still talking to me?
No, that was just Tanner. Hey everybody, I'm back from my stretch break and Tanner's stretch break. So Hannah, Julie said we're having a little bit of like feedback issues. Is it playing on your, did you say on your big screen TV or?
Well, I've got that turned down, and I didn't have my fan on, so I'm not sure. I can mute
It's not,
myself.
no, it's not the fan. I think what happens is, are you streaming on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got us on the big TV too? For whatever reason, I think
Not
that's
anymore. I'll turn it on.
something's causing wacky feedback tonight, and I'm not sure what it is. When I mute, I don't hear it when you're talking. I only hear it when I'm talking. So I don't, and I know it didn't happen Friday night live when
Let's see. Breaker 19. Is it still?
I'm going to mute for a minute. I think it's only happening when my mic is open. So that's what I think. Yeah, Kathy said she's hearing it too. So let me go make sure I don't have anything open on YouTube that could be causing it. Let me close. I'm going to close all these windows.
I
Did
feel like
that
I'm melting.
still going? Very strange. So you've got the TV off now and you're just streaming with your phone?
Yeah, but I have really bad service, and my phone is just a government phone. It literally is a struggle phone. It's gotten me this far.
No, it's you sound really good. I don't know what something is like.
Oh, it's my first investment. My first investment is going to be a better phone because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, maybe we can help you with that. So I'm going to, can you mute for a second so I can figure
Yeah.
out? Okay. So now that Hannah's muted everyone, am I clear now? Is the feedback on? Just let me know. Testing 1, 2, 3, testing for feedback sounds. So Julie, Kathy, whoever else is in the live friend zone with us tonight, if you can help us out with this little tech check here. But I think Hannah sounds clear as a bell, but I think when her mic is not muted, it causes me to have some kind of weird feedback. So I'm not sure what that is, but we can just take turns. Much better, Kathy said. Okay, so we can just take turns muting, talking. I'll mute when she talks and she can mute when I talk, and then I think we'll be okay. That'll work. So I want to thank Hannah so much for giving us this update on the Diddy case. I've been following it, but not as closely as she has. So I thought she was the perfect person as a survivor of abuse not just abuse, but as a survivor of an attempted homicide by her husband, who's been in jail all these years, and to keep us updated on this. This trial is, everybody in the world is watching it. So if Hannah's okay with it, we'll keep a session on Wednesdays, a piece of our Wednesday night Angry Bitch Club for Hannah to update us, and I'll do the best I can to get the tools for her, the videos or whatever we need to show. Thank you. She's giving it the thumbs up. So she will update us and keep us informed on the Diddy trial. Come here, Tanner. Tanner's impatient tonight because of this damn sciatica. I have not been able to take him on walks like I normally do. And we usually go outside a lot and take little walks and just spend time outside. But this has been a rough 2 weeks with this nasty back issue. So poor Tanner is bored. Come here, Tanner. So what I want to branch into next, and I don't know how much you know about this case, Hannah, except for what you've seen me cover it, but Sandra Birchmore's grooming and abuse for over 13, I believe it was 12 years. I'd have to do the math. She passed at age 23. 10 years approximately of abuse by these police officers from the Stoughton, Massachusetts Police Department. So I want to give you guys, we had Mizzy on a couple weeks ago. If you're interested, she has been advocating for Sandra Birchmore all along before and by the way, Massachusetts still, the Canton, the medical examiner, they have not changed this to a homicide. It is still recorded as an unaliving of herself because Matthew Farwell framed her to look like she took her own life when she did not. So Mizzy, if you go to our library and click on the live tab, you can scroll down and you'll see where we met Mizzy, who's been advocating for Sandra out of the gate. She was one of the first and only people in Stoughton to help her family advocate for more investigation into her passing. Come here, Tanner. Come here. You're okay. Come here. So it's just been just a horrible, horrific case of domestic violence because Matthew Farwell was in a relationship with Sandra Birchmore behind his wife's back. So they were in a domestic situation, even though they didn't live together. They were texting each other. There's over 32,000 text messages between the two of them that incidentally, the Canton Police Department, Massachusetts State Police didn't bother to find. It wasn't until the FBI got involved that these were found. So there's a lot of possible corruption in this case with police covering for Matthew Farwell, both in Stoughton and in Canton. And these are the allegations. So I'm just going to give you a little bit. The Boston Globe did kind of a nice overview. So let me share my screen with you and I'll give you a little bit of an insight as to what happened to dear sweet Sandra Birchmore and why so many people are advocating for justice for her. So give me a sec here. Oh, hang on, guys. Sorry, I have to finish. For some reason, the link didn't pull up. So give me a second. I'm going to have to go back over. Oh, the browser has blocked your screen. Oh, it doesn't want. Reload your page. Okay. All right. Let me go back here and try to get on this link for y'all. Sometimes the browsers do funny things when you're trying to share links, and sometimes you have to reload the page. So let me pull this up here for you. I think it's going to work now. And there's a content warning on this. The story contains, there's a lot of language in this. So let me go. All right, I've got it pulled up now, and I'm going to share the screen with all of you so you can watch it along with me. Let me remove this from the field here. There we go. This is tough stuff to hear. This is the grooming of a 13-year-old girl who had a rough childhood because of illnesses of her mother and her grandmother, and was just looking to fit in, looking to belong, and decided to join the Police Explorers because she was very interested in becoming a police officer or working in law enforcement in some capacity. So it's extra egregious because she looked up to these men, she idolized them, she trusted them, and they betrayed her in the worst possible way.
Roughly 20 miles south of Boston, a couple dozen people assemble at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, protesting the office's perceived failures in a couple of high-profile deaths. One of those deaths was Sandra Birchmore.
We stand together united.
This is Busy, who we met a couple weeks
These
ago.
people all deserve better investigations. Sandra Birchmore was murdered by an animal, and you left that animal on the street for 3.5 years. But I want you to help me say her name. Sandra Birchmore! Sandra Birchmore! Sandra Birchmore! Sandra Birchmore! Sandra Birchmore!
Sandra Birchmore. Breaks my heart.
Birchmore grew up in Stoughton with her mother, and one day wanted to protect people as a police officer. So she joined the town's Police Explorer program in 2010, when she was only 12 years old. And that's where she met 26-year-old police officer Matthew Farwell and his twin brother William. Both brothers were invited to participate as guest instructors by Robert Devine. He had mentored the brothers in the Explorer program years earlier. Matthew Farwell became more present in Birchmore's life as time went by, building a relationship with her and gaining her trust. Federal prosecutors and her estate have alleged he was grooming Birchmore for sex. Court documents allege Matthew Farwell committed statutory rape against Birchmore in 2013, when she was 15. Farwell denies this. The two texted about the incident in 2020, according to an FBI affidavit. Less than a month after his first sexual encounter with Birchmore, Farwell married his fiancée. When Birchmore was an adult, records show, both Farwell brothers had sexual relationships with her. The death of her mother and grandmother in 2016 left her inconsolable and lost. Birchmore joined the military, but did not make it through basic training. She earned an associate's degree in criminal justice, but was having a hard time getting experience with the local police department.
Sandra Marie Birchmore.
In late 2020, Birchmore moved into an apartment in Canton. Farwell helped her move into her new digs. Soon after, Birchmore told Farwell that she was pregnant, and the child was his. Farwell's wife was expecting her third child at the time. On January 20th, 2021, one of Birchmore's friends called Stoughton Police and told the call taker that Matthew Farwell was having sex with Birchmore. Farwell was angry. Farwell met with Birchmore days later. He asked for a key to her apartment and inspected her place thoroughly. On February 1st at 5:31 p.m., Birchmore was seen stepping into the elevator in the lobby of her building. Later that evening, Matthew Farwell texted Birchmore and asked if he could stop by. His wife's baby was going to be born the next morning. Farwell entered her building at 9:14 p.m. Farwell later told investigators he went to the apartment to break up with Birchmore. 29 minutes later, Farwell left her apartment. Days later, Birchmore was found dead. Investigators determined her death was a suicide. Suicide seemed impossible to those who knew Sandra.
One of the first things that crossed my mind, it wasn't suicide.
She finally got pregnant and everything was going well. Right before she passed away, she was just so ecstatic that she was finally going to be a mother.
Nearly a year later, Matthew Farwell resigned from the Stoughton Police Department. An internal affairs investigation determined that Farwell, his twin brother William, and Robert Devine all had inappropriate relationships with Birchmore. The three officers denied the allegations. In the summer of 2024, the federal government accused Matthew Farwell of killing Sandra Birchmore. He's pleaded not guilty to the charge.
At approximately 10:45 a.m. this morning, the FBI arrested former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell for allegedly taking the life of Sandra Birchmore in order to ensure her silence. We in law enforcement are entrusted with immense authority because our decisions can have life-changing consequences. What we believe Officer Matthew Farwell did, as outlined in today's indictment, is depraved and a gross betrayal of his sworn oath and the public's trust.
Matthew and William Farwell resigned from the Stoughton Police. Devine retired. The brothers were later decertified. Matthew denies the charge and is currently in federal custody, awaiting trial. Neither Devine nor Matthew's brother William has been charged with a crime.
Let me remove that here. So that's tough to watch because we basically, in a very short amount of time, we're just showing how abusive men. There we go. Sorry about that. Another stream started up behind that one. It's just so, when I think what got me in the gut was when she crossed the stage and she said hi to the person that was handing her her diploma, and she was a smart cookie. You know, anytime you can get any kind of degree outside of high school, you're a smart cookie. And she was proud of that. You could see that in her face, how proud she was of herself. And she was such a young looking girl as well. Like some of it, yes, thank you, Kim. It's just tragic. What these men were doing for that amount of time. And I remember when I first learned about Sandra Birchmore, it was when shortly after it first happened, saw it in the news, but they were saying that, it was cases like hers don't really make the news, guys. This is the problem, is that most domestic abuse cases never make the news because they figure people don't want to hear about that. They don't want to hear about the atrocities that go on behind closed doors between a man and a woman. And it doesn't make news until it becomes sensationalized somehow. And I'm sure that the parents, of Sandra Birchmore, they've stayed out of the media. They didn't want to be in the media. They just wanted justice for their daughter. Actually, I guess her mother had passed, but it was her family. What was left of her family wanted justice for her, but they didn't want media attention. They don't want to be interviewed. I've never tried to contact them. I've respected them, but I did when I found out about Mizzy and all that she was doing, and that she was also lives in the area and was interested in the Karen Reed case. I contacted her. I met her through X, Twitter, and told her about my channel for advocacy and that I was standing for Sandra Birchmore, advocating for her, and I would put out any information that she wanted me to share about what was going on, because Mizzy wasn't live streaming at the time. So I've been sharing Sandra Birchmore and her terrible ordeal that led to her M-word YouTube unaliving by Matthew Farwell, because I'm 100% convinced. Now, I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm 99.9999 convinced that he unalived her that day and made it look like she did it to herself, which is extra super egregious, like what we've seen in the Ellen Greenberg case. And I'll mention that case briefly before we close out tonight. Same thing happened. Domestic violence was going on. Ellen didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell her family. She was, my opinion, unalived by her fiance. And then he framed her to look like she did it to herself, even though it's just atrocious. And we'll share a little bit about Ellen again, because we haven't spoken about her in a few weeks. So I always like to continue to speak on our victims that we're advocating for while their cases are still open and there's still no resolution for their families. So Sandra Birchmore was a child. She was just an innocent child who wanted to learn about the police work. And I was like her. I wanted to learn about police work. My mom was involved in a very important job with the Department of Justice. So I always heard a lot about justice for all and justice for what are we going to do to get justice for this person or that person, and the different cases that she covered as a paralegal investigator. She wasn't allowed to speak on them until after they were done. And then I'd finally get to hear more about them. And as I got older and older, I became more and more interested in how law works in our country and how we enforce laws, and laws that are bad, because a lot of laws are bad laws. They don't protect us properly, especially laws that have to do with violence against women, and learning about how we can advocate to our senators and our congressmen and congresswomen to change these bad laws, because not just because it's a law doesn't mean it's good or that it protects us. So I became very interested in the law at a young age. I was a crossing guard in fourth grade in Milwaukee, where we were as a student, because I wanted to do something that kept other kids safe. And so a lot of us, we have these yearnings to do these type of jobs, just like you may have had a yearning to be a teacher or a doctor or a nurse, or maybe you had a yearning to own your own business or work in a restaurant. Whatever the case may be, there's so many careers and jobs out there for us to do in this world. And we all tend to be pulled in a direction, one way or the other, for these different careers. And Sandra's was to be an officer. So she joined this Police Explorers program, and she went in with a good open heart. It looked, from all intents and purposes, she was doing great. She was very good at what she was doing. She was well liked by everyone at the Stoughton Police Department. And then these four, definitely three. And the reason I say four is, let me remove this. Let me remove that stop sharing my screen there for a minute. Let me go back to her PowerPoint here for a second, her case deck. The reason, I guess I don't have that one up. Never mind. I got to go back. I don't have all of Sandra's up. We'll have Mizzy back on at some point, and we'll do more, in depth on what she's done for advocacy, because we ran out of time last time with Missy. There's so much to talk about in this case against Matthew Farwell, but Sandra seemed to really love being an explorer, and she trusted the people that she was given as mentors, as role models, which were Matthew Farwell, William Farwell. They're twins, not identical. William Devine, who was actually in charge of the program when William and Matthew were explorers. So there has been some rumors circulating, nothing that's been proven, that these two boys were probably groomed by Robert Devine. And there's, I guess, enough evidence to for people to actually speak on that. And Mizzy has spoken on it, and many others have spoken on it. And he is still not decertified. He is off duty. I don't know if it's with pay, but he keeps going through these hearings for them to remove his certification as a law enforcement officer. So next Wednesday, I'll update you, because he's supposed to be going. I believe he either was already at his hearing or it's coming up. I'll have to check in with Mizzy. But that is, it's amazing how long it's taken, that they have to, I guess, due process for him to take him through the system this way. But everybody that knows of this situation, it's impossible to believe that he's innocent. I mean, he had to have his hands in this with the boys when they were young, probably, and then as adults while they were grooming her and abusing her. Now, the other, I'll say, officer that's involved, because he's not decertified yet, as far as I know, he was the school liaison, and he had sex with her in his patrol car. Now, granted, she's over 18 at this point. So in Massachusetts, consent, I believe, is either 16 or 17. So she's over consent. She's like 18, but you're a school officer and you're on duty. You're going to have sex with one of your former, explorers who's only 18 years old. And you know that she's also having sex with William and Matthew Farwell. And you don't report this to your supervisors. You don't say anything. Go ahead, Hannah. Please talk. It's your turn.
Sounds like human trafficking to me. Sounds like abuse of power, and that is illegal.
I'm just muting when you talk so we don't have feedback. Because then we can make it through. If we take turns muting, we won't have that feedback. But when I first heard about it, it's sickening. It's utterly sickening, and it makes me incredibly sad. I am going to take a minute. I want to pull up my other deck where I have a photo. I want to show you the pictures of these people that are accused of this, because the evidence is huge. So give me a second. And Hannah, I'm going to mute so you can say more about what you'd like to say on this while I'm going to go grab that deck, because I do want to show you the pictures of these 4 men, because they deserve to have their pictures shown. They all deserve to be uncertified like the twins are, but they also all need to go to jail. All 4 of them need to have some type of jail time for what they did for, like you said, abuse of power, whatever the case may be, for the school officer. I think his name is Heel. But Robert Devine and William and Matthew, they have just got to find the evidence to get those 2 on some charges. The other 2, I mean, William's in jail and hopefully he will never get out. I find it to just be utterly insane that he has the audacity to plead innocent. He knows what the evidence is against him, I'm sure. So it's just sick. All right, stand by. I'm going to grab those pictures. Go ahead, Hannah.
I'm trying to remember the first time I saw someone cover the Sandra Birchmore case, and I can't remember. I know it was before I met you, but I remember whenever I don't know if it was, I don't know who covered it, but it was somebody on YouTube, and I will never forget the way I felt about how they were really trying to make it seem like she unalived herself, when she was obviously a very proud mother to be. And it is honestly just heartbreaking to see injustice and corruption like this, and to know that this is just one of, I would say, thousands of cases that there is no justice, and it's devastating what people.
It's heartbreaking, because even if he does get convicted, it's just hard to say there'll be justice for a child's life who was literally ripped from her at age 13, and she was under oppression and under sexual oppression until she died at age 23 with her baby in her womb, and then blamed for her own death by this utter monster. So this is my deck that I keep of all of the current victims of domestic violence, homicide, or they're still missing because their husband unalived them and won't say where they are. And so I'll just give you a brief update on Ellen and on Suzanne here in a little bit after we're done speaking about Sandra. So I just want to see if I have the one I want to show you in this. It should be in here. So this was something that Mizzy's crew, I'm not sure if it was Mizzy herself or one of her advocates. She has a nice big group of advocates now for Sandra Birchmore. They always put out they do a 4-year anniversary standout. Every year they do a standout in her honor. And then they keep track of when his hearings are. Like this particular standout was back in February on the courthouse steps. And this is who is arrested currently as Matthew Farwell. And then so she was 3 months pregnant, as you saw in the video, when she was found deceased at her apartment, because she lived in Canton, which is where all the nefarious John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, criminal crime and corruption's going on. So the Canton Police Department is in the thick right now with this case and with the Karen Reed, John O'Keefe. So her death was originally ruled an unaliving, according to the Boston Globe, but a pathologist hired by her family found that it was in fact a homicide. So in many of these cases, Ellen's case, Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clare, I mean, all of these women who were abused and domestically abused and then killed by their husbands, fiancés, or boyfriends, almost all of these families had to hire someone outside because the investigations were so bad and so poor in their cases. So these are the 4 men that need to be in prison. This, I grabbed this from Mizzy, and she's not sure who she got it from, but it might've been one of her advocates that put this together for us. But thank you, whoever made this. If you're watching or if you see this later, thank you for putting this together. Matthew Farwell is on the my far, when I'm looking at the screen, far left. Robert Devine, William Farwell, Matthew's twin brother, and this is Joshua Heel, who was the community officer for the school, for the high school. So they've all committed crimes on varying levels, all just disgusting, despicable behavior, misogynistic crap. And it dehumanizes women. It dehumanizes our role in society. And this is going on right now in other communities, and we're just not catching it. It makes you want to be sick. And Kim says, has a date been set for the trial yet? No, Kim, not that we know of. He hasn't even had his first appearance yet. And I was about to hop onto my X feed for you all, because I think Mizzy put up when he was supposed to already have appearances that keep getting delayed. And then there was a court hearing that was closed to the public, and he didn't even have to go. Just his lawyer went. And I don't understand any of this. I don't get what's happening at all. I'm going to dig into this a little further. I'm going to contact Mizzy and see if she can help bring me up to speed on why this is being allowed to happen and what's going on behind the scenes. But what really ticks me off is that William Farwell, they didn't even tell him not to leave the state. He moved. After he got decertified, he moved to another state, and he's working for the Air National Guard, supposedly. So he's just trying to start a whole new life and completely separate and remove himself from his brother. And he was, there's no doubt he was heavy involved in this when she was still underage. There's just absolutely no doubt about this. Now, whether or not they can prove it or not is another ordeal. It's a whole nother matter. Somehow in his wisdom, the Garino from the Canton Police Department, who's also been on the stand for Karen Reed, John O'Keefe's death, somehow missed 32,000 text messages between William Farwell and Sandra Birchmore, and text messages with William and Joshua. And when he did the extraction of these phones. So if that doesn't scream cover up to all of you who know a little bit about, how law works and how nefarious behavior works and how dirty cops work, I don't know what does. It's just beyond despicable what these 4 men got away with. And here's my concern, and I find it interesting that nobody's saying this in the media, is where are the other victims? Because you're not going to make me believe that these 4 characters were not doing this to some other girls. There has to be other victims, and they're terrified to come forward, because who wouldn't be? If a police officer is the one that's abusing you and you know all about the thick blue line, they call it the thin blue line, I call it the thick blue line, are you going to want to come out? And when you're watching television and you're seeing what's happening, to not to go political because we are bipartisan here, but please, people, how many women came out and said that Trump touched them inappropriately? How many does it take for those of you out there to finally believe women that they're telling the truth? Now, are there the occasional one-offs where a woman will lie and say that she was attacked or say that she was the R word and she wasn't? Yes, it does happen, but it is a small percentage, people, a very small percentage. You cannot allow a small percentage of obviously girls that are going through some type of a mental health crisis to frame someone for the R word. There's obviously some type of mental depression going on there, whatever it is, that's up to a psychologist and a psychiatrist and her doctor. But that is a small percentage compared to the unreported R's that go on around college campuses and women between the ages of 20 and 30 that are unreported because they're terrified to tell anyone. They don't want to look bad. They don't want to be blamed. And then you take all the reported ones that are out there. So you have to understand that women don't want this to happen to them, and they certainly don't want to make it up and have a story made. So for all of you that are still not believing all of the women that said they were inappropriately kissed, groped, touched in their private parts by Trump, you need to rethink about this, because this is not about politics. I don't give a crap who Trump, what party he represents. If he's a bad man, he's a bad man. I don't care what party Clinton represents. He's an idiot for what he did while he was in office. I will call you out as a bad person, as a pedophile, as a bad man for hurting women or attacking women. I don't give a crap who you vote for. It doesn't matter. We're all in this together. Crime and corruption is bipartisan, and you should never allow your politics to make decisions for you when it comes to standing for victims of crimes and victims of homicide and children that are being abused by Epstein, by whoever showed up on that island. Was a mix of all politicians. I can guarantee you that. Both sides of the aisle have crooks. Both sides of the aisle have dirty cops. So these guys were allowed to get away with this. Now, how in the world, right, did other Stoughton officers and Canton officers, because a lot of Canton officers are buddies with these guys, because Stoughton and Canton are literally like twin cities. It's just like a lot of other cities that you live in, where here where I'm in Madison, I can go from Madison to Middleton and I've never really left. I've never gone out into the country. I can go from Madison to Monona. I've never gone out in the country. Where I live in Florida, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach. I'm sure you all have towns like that. Stoughton and Canton are that close. These guys know each other. They are friends. So nobody's going to tell me at all that their fellow officers didn't know something was going on with these four idiots. And Garino not finding 32,000 text messages. When is he going to get looked at? Where is the investigation into his behavior? And others who obviously covered, they determined in their opinion, in their police opinion, that Sandra Birchmore unalived herself in a matter of 24 hours, not even. Mizzy was speaking to that when she was with us a few weeks ago. You can't determine that fast. You don't know for sure. There's a lot of cases where people are framed for their own unaliving. That's the oldest trick in the book for these horrible, heinous people, to make it look like they took their own life so they can get away with it. How in the world they can make a decision like that, just like they screwed up the Karen Reed case and made a decision that, oh, Karen must have hit him with her car because this, and this, and it's only been 24 hours and we did a shitty job the first 24 hours. And now we're going to do a shitty job the next 72 hours because we're just shitty cops, I guess. Well, I don't buy that, because most cops are not shitty cops. Most cops are good cops. And they go to police academy and they go to in-service and they care about their communities and they want to help their fellow man and they want to protect and serve. You still have to believe me that most cops are good and they have great intentions for why they go into law enforcement. These guys are the one-offs. These idiots that process the scene of John O'Keefe's death are the one-offs. They're not the standard. So please don't think that. But we have to get these guys out. We have to decertify them. Thank God William and Matthew are decertified. They can never be police officers again. So even if they should get away with their crimes, they can never be law enforcement officers. Robert Devane is fighting his, but he's about to come to a rude awakening, because I think they have enough evidence that they will and can decertify him. I'm going to have to find out. Joshua Heel left the Stoughton Police Department went to another police department and they hired him in the midst of all of this going on. So I don't know what's up with him. I'm going to have to get with Mizzy and find out, and I'll update you all next week. But this is my angry bitch on Sandra Birchmore. Her life mattered. I hope these people have nightmares and they see her pretty face screaming, "My life mattered, you fucking idiots, you horrible, terrible humans." And I hope they all go to jail for a very long time. That's my opinion, YouTube. And that's how I feel about it. So we will have more. I'll find out, Kim, I'll find out more about what's going on with these court dates and when he's finally going to be in person in court. Let me take a quick peek. Hang on, guys. Just stand by. Take a stretch real quick. I'm just going to run up here to my Twitter feed and see if I can see what Mizzy has posted for us, because she's really good. And I usually share everything she puts up. So let me go to search here on Twitter X. For those of you that aren't on Twitter X, it's pretty user-friendly to find things that you need. So I'm just typing in Sandra Birchmore. She has a Justice for Sandra. There she is. Okay, let's see what we've got for updates from Mizzy. And Mizzy is an amazing human. She, out of the goodness of her heart, never believed that Sandra Birchmore did this to herself. She got copies of the police reports because it was an unaliving, so the case was closed. So she was able to do the Freedom of Information Act and get all the police reports and read them all. She has them all. And here, let me share my screen so that you can see what I'm seeing, so you can get a little bit of an idea of what a great advocate she is, because I just love Mizzy. She's fantastic. Let me share my screen here real quick. Go to the X feed. Share. I mean, I seriously, if I can afford it, I will fly to frickin' Boston and I will go to his court appearance when it gets closer to more like maybe jury selection. I want to see this guy. I want to glare at him. I want to do what Paul O'Keefe's been doing to Karen Reed. I want to glare at this guy so bad, because that's all I can really do other than live stream about what a horrible individual he is and what a messed up person he is. Not to mention, like we said, he came over there that night to unalive her while his wife was in labor in a hospital just minutes away. He then went to the hospital and helped deliver his third child. That is about as sick and sociopathic as you can possibly get. So let me know. Hang on, I have to go back to share this. Just a second. View. Let's see here. Okay, yep, there it is. So let me pop back over there, see if I can make it bigger. I don't know if Twitter's going to let me make it bigger, but I can come back over here and try to do that for you so we can get a better. Come on, YouTube, don't mess with me tonight. There we go. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. It's still a little blurry, but if you have Twitter X and you're interested, it's Justice for Sandra Birchmore. And that's where you can find Mizzy and all of her posts. So she's live streaming now. It's her channel is called A Mixed Girl in a Mixed Up World. And she did a Q&A. Oh, it looks like she did a Q&A. Oh, she did it tonight. Well, shoot. I wish I would have known about that. We probably could have joined that with her. I'll keep a better eye on her. Because sometimes she did have going live now. Usually I get these. So I'll do a better job of that, because I know she would let us join her and we could have asked her some questions. That would have been really great. So I'll try to get a joint session going with one of her lives and one of our lives. So she wrote this 9 hours ago. Trooper Dunn was just mentioned being in the CPD Sallyport. He is a major player in the Sandra Birchmore case. He did a lot of the investigation with Fanning, and Fanning is, as far as I can tell, a pretty nefarious character. He did a lot of the reports. I hope both Fanning and Dunn take the stand in the Karen Reed trial. Yeah, okay, these guys have their hands in both of these cases. So that really has to make you go, right? How dirty are these guys? So, and Trooper Clark, who was on the stand today in the Karen Reed trial, he was also on the Birchmore case as well, according to Mizzy. So she knows everything, guys. So she had a migraine. She's been suffering with migraines. Poor girl. Here is happy birthday. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys can see that very good. I'll take a screenshot of this and add it for next week. Happy birthday, Sandra. Today would have been Sandra's 28th birthday. Justice for Sandra Birchmore. That was on May the 13th. Let me see if she has any updates. Okay, so she's doing a standout on May 17th from 1 to 4 back in Stoughton. It looks like across from the town hall. So I'll see if I can live with her, if maybe she can, if I can somehow connect with her and I could do a live stream of the standout. I'll probably just record it and then I can play it for all of you. So we will hold a contest for the best homemade sign. Sandra's actual birthday is May 13th. So that is fantastic that she continues to hold these standouts. Now let me see, there was an update that I saw recently. Let's see here, where is that? These are all just pictures. I know she had an update. Oh, here we go. Robert Devane has his last hearing before he goes in front of post-commission board. I will be streaming the hearing. So that was on the 6th. So I'll get with her and find out what happened with that. And I'm trying to see, I know that Matthew Farwell has a date and I want to say it's, yeah, that's Robert. Aha, here it is, Kim. Matthew Farwell, July 1st, 10:15 a.m. So I will put that on my calendar and I'll see if I can get with Mizzy. Maybe her and I can live stream together that day. July 1st, 10:15 a.m. And I'll make sure that you all know that date and I'll remind you of that on my social media. So that is, this was something too, the Canton Police Chief, Helena Rafferty, those of you that follow Karen Reed, she finally retired. I blame her for the part that the Canton police officers played in their disgusting investigation of Sandra's death. It's an absolute travesty. And there's so many people that should be fired, written up, charged with crimes. It's just beyond belief. And it's just so incredibly sad. So let me move this down. Now you know a little bit more about Sandra Birchmore than you might have known before. And we'll continue to speak her name and to, talk about Sandra for as long as we have to until she gets her justice. So I just want to remind you guys a little bit now. Oh, whoops, sorry, Hannah. There you go. Get you back. So let me put my, let me take that off. Stop sharing my screen. All the little fun technical things I get to do. Some live streamers are the big game, and they have like producers that do all this for them. So all they have to do is get up here and talk. And oh, Julie, congratulations. The Celtics won. I must say this for all of our Massachusetts friends. Julie, our craziest person on earth, resident Bostonian, Friday Night Live's co-host, is a Boston resident, and we are cheering for you because you guys took my player. You took my Milwaukee Bucks Holiday from me, and he was one of my favorite players. Him and Chris Middleton are both no longer with the Bucks, and I'm so sad about that. Okay, so is that series tied up now, Julie? Because I think they were down, right? They were down 1-1. So Kathy says, woohoo, Julie, Mark Betterow celebrate. Oh yeah. Did he go to the game, Kathy? I know Mark takes his, I think it's his, is it his grandchild or does he have children that young? I know he takes a small human to some of these basketball games. Oh, Kim. Yeah. Tell me his wife left him. You know what, Kim, I've tried. She is like scrubbed from the media, and you can imagine, I mean, it's hard to believe that these guys get away with this stuff behind our backs, but they do. It's happened to me. I think it's happened to so many women I know, that things go on behind your back and you're clueless because you want to trust people. That you can't be in a relationship without trust. So, this is his wife. They're about to have a third child. I want to believe that she had no clue, or if she did have an inkling that he was cheating on her, it wasn't with a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, whatever the case be. And then to continue that abuse all the way till she was 23 is what's so sickening, mostly sickening. And it was violent abuse. And I'm not going to get into that tonight because that's a major trigger warning, but we may at some point, because sometimes in order for you to know, you have to know. And it's stuff you don't want to know, but sometimes you really do have to know it all in order to truly advocate for the atrocities that happen to a person. Okay, Julie says, yeah, they're down 3-2, but they came back 20. Oh my gosh, holy cow. So now it's 3-2, correct? Because they were down like 3-1, I believe, right? So with this win, it's 3-2. I've lost track of it a little bit. They've been on a lot of the nights that I live stream. So thank you. Everyone knows I'm a sports fan, and I will always talk sports with all of you in our friend zone whenever you guys want to. So thanks for that update, Jules. So now I just want to continue in our outline for tonight, and let's go back to just always like to mention, I get a little choked up when I talk about Jennifer Farborough-Dulos, because so much of what she went through I can relate to in some ways. And she was a lovely lady and did not deserve what happened to her at all. And the saddest part is her family has never gotten really any justice, and they really won't, because her husband, because of the way the court system works and the way they treat women in domestic violence situations, he was able to get out on bail. And as soon as he found out what they had on him, that they had him on surveillance cameras, driving around, dumping garbage bags at various dumpsters, all garbage cans and dumpsters all along the road of this town that was outside where they lived, which was in Connecticut. Her family was from New York, and her parents lived in New York, and they were quite a very interesting, very well-known family, the Farbers. So she had a lot of goings-ons in New York. Her kids had doctor appointments in New York, dentists in New York. They did a lot of things with civic events and musical events. She was very into the arts, and I believe she was a writer. So her degree was in writing. We have never done a full live on Jennifer because I have 15 cases right now that I'm working on. And so unfortunately, hers is considered a cold case in a way. They've never found her. And Fotis Dulos took his own life. So he didn't leave any kind of a note at all, except to defend his girlfriend, who did go to trial. So I'm going to put together a live stream about Jennifer, number one, because I want to, and she deserves it. And she deserves not to be forgotten, even though her case is starting to grow very cold. And I want all of you who watch Social Change Warriors to know why this woman inspired me to start Social Change Warriors. Because when a community can get behind something that's atrocious and horrible and work together, things can happen. Law enforcement can't always do it by themselves anymore. There's just too much going on. There's too many crimes, even the good cops get overwhelmed with case after case after case. So I truly do believe that the social media that we have can be used for good. It's not always used for good, but I believe it can be. And I believe it can be used to help sometimes solve these cold cases. A lot of cold cases have been solved thanks to the public. So when I first heard of this case, I thought, we need to have a community. We need to have a group of people that work together to help victims of crimes get justice. And that's how I came up with Social Change Warriors. I started out targeting just social workers to work together, but then, a lot of them are busy. They have full-time jobs in a very demanding role. They don't have the time to do this type of volunteer work like I do because I'm retired. So that was when I branched into covering true crime, the cases that were actually happening as we speak, because I thought I could somehow make a little bit of a difference and give people and families a chance to come on a live stream and talk about their loved one, explain what happened to them. And in the cases in Florida, I've actually met with the police. I've gone into the Marion County. I've talked on the phone with Marion County sheriffs. I've gone into the Volusia County sheriffs with Kara, and I've actually met with them and given them my opinion on things. And they've asked me questions. And these are things that advocates can do. Victim advocates can help the victim families get their answers and get more done than they could do on their own, because your background is either in law enforcement or social work, and you can help the families that way. So I've been trying to encourage more social workers to consider taking on a role of a victim advocate, because we don't have enough of them. We need more of them, and we need them to get paid because they deserve to get paid. I'm in a unique situation because I'm retired. I can do this as a passion project, but we need more social change warriors in our communities who are actually getting paid to do this work and to help families like Jennifer Farborough-Dulos to continue to look for clues, continue to keep her memory alive. She's out there somewhere, and somebody saw something, and somebody knows where she might be buried. So I never give up hope that her 5 children and her mother, I hope her mother, who's in her 80s, will live to be able to have a proper funeral for her, because she deserves it. My life mattered. Rest in peace, Jennifer. We will continue to advocate for you as long as necessary. Now, currently, we have 3 women who are technically still missing. We have Sarah Ebersol, the case that I've been telling you about that Hannah's now been very involved with. She's been helping Michelle Crystal tell us with her Facebooks and continue helping her to push out the message and sharing on social media and TikTok. And I'm not on TikTok. I call it the TikTok. That's my boomer way of saying it. I'm not on the TikTok and I don't want to be on the TikTok. So I'll rely on my younger generation of social change warriors to handle the TikTok. So I'll let Hannah speak to that in a minute, what she's been doing to help Sarah. Sarah's been missing for 2 years and 2 months now. We've done many live streams. So if you're interested in Sarah's case and want to know more about Sarah Ebersol and her sister's quest to find her and reunite her with her niece, you can just go to our live tab, just scroll down, and we've done many live streams about this case. It's very convoluted. It's very messy. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of persons of interest that are not coming forward, that are actually harboring the investigation, not helping it. And I'll do a full update for those of you that want to know more about this case in the next couple of weeks. We haven't had anything new to report, but there is something new to report now. But I want to let Michelle tell it to you in her own words what's going on. It's not good. I'm sorry to leave a cliffhanger for you, but it has to do with Cora's biological father, who many of us believe is involved in her missing, where she is missing and knows where she is. And so we will, as soon as Michelle has the time and she can live stream, I will have her give you the full update on her sister's case. This in the middle is Suzanne Clark Simpson. Her husband is arrested. They did have enough evidence to arrest him. I don't know when his trial starts. He's claiming he's innocent, but she has been missing now since October out of San Antonio, Texas area. And in my opinion, he unalived her and has put her somewhere and is refusing to tell his children and his family and to own up to it and admit what he did. So it's just sad and horrible. And it appears as if there was some domestic violence going on there for a long time. Some of the children have spoken out about it now on social media. And it's just so horrible. Horrible what these women put up with, and they're willing to stay for their children. They're scared for their children. Most women will do anything to keep their children safe. And same situation with Ashley Lachey Elkins. I haven't seen an update, so if I'm wrong, I'll let you all know next Wednesday. The last update I saw was that she was still missing, but they are pretty convinced, like very convinced, that she is not with us, that her ex-boyfriend unalived her. They have enough evidence. He was also arrested. Don't know if he has a court date yet, but I'll find that out this week. Updates on both of these beautiful women whose lives were taken too soon. We still don't have enough evidence. Sarah's considered missing and endangered because there's just no evidence of a crime. There was nothing. The police handled it so poorly in the first 2 weeks of her disappearance. They treated it as if she wandered off to party when she had a daughter and a sister and a family that cared about her, and that wasn't in her nature. She was Michelle always talks about her being a wanderer and that she loved travel and she loved to see new sights, but not without telling her sister where she was going, not without letting someone know or making sure that she was going to get to see her daughter if she was going to leave on a little vacation or staycation in the state of Florida. This was completely out of character for her to just 1 minute be on Instagram and on TikTok and videos of her partying with these other 3 people, and then just nothing. She literally disappeared into thin air. There's just very little evidence that points in very many directions. The person of interest, his phone was pinged with her phone. They did arrest him for lying to the police, but he got out of jail. He served probation already for lying to the police about his phone. And now he's just out there living his best life, and his family is defending him. And the science says that his phone and Sarah's phone were together at 4 a.m. So that technically makes him the last person to see her alive. But many of us believe that he drove her and Joe intercepted them at some point. That is my opinion, Joe. I'm allowed to have it. You and I have had a discussion about this. I appreciated you trying to be somewhat decent, not. So I had a little chat with Joe, and he obviously denies everything, but yet has not cooperated at all with the police and is keeping Cora, Michelle's niece, from her family. Doesn't let anyone in the family see her. And I'll give you more updates on that later. It's a very difficult case with not a lot of evidence, but we're going to keep fighting for Michelle, for Sarah and Cora, for her to be found and for the perpetrators of Sarah's unaliving, which I do believe happened, to be arrested. So we'll keep you up to date on everything to do with Sarah Ebersol. This was one of the flyers that her sister's friend made for her. It's Reddick, Florida, which is near Ocala, which is in the middle of the state. Horse Country is where she went missing from on March 3rd, 2023. So this was one of the last photos that showed up on her, in her cloud, in her iCloud. This is Tyrone Mormon, who is the person of interest because of his phone. And because of one of the other party goers, Bubba's phone. There were text messages between these two to the degree of, hey, Sarah's here, you should come over. Tyrone says, yeah, I'll be right over. Great. So his phone was at that location. And then it's the witnesses that were at the party said that Sarah left with him, that she seemed somewhat half conscious, maybe half unconscious. They appeared to be kind of carrying her out to the car, Bubba and Tyrone. Mysteriously, Bubba has since passed away of what was considered a drug overdose. So he's no longer with us and can no longer give us any information. But there is science and there are text messages that Tyrone was most definitely at that house and that he most definitely gave Sarah a ride somewhere. And the phones were pinging at a 24-hour gas station in Reddick, Florida. I drove by it when I went to the standout a few weeks back when I joined Michelle at her standout and saw the gas station where her phone was last pinged. So that this case is being worked. It's according to the detective, I spoke with him about a month ago. He still has some leads. He's still working the case. It's frustrating. They haven't admitted to me yet that they dropped the ball in the beginning, which is why they never searched Joe's hotel room or never searched Joe's phone, never considered any of the domestic violence allegations against him that were on paper, that were in the court. All of the accusations of DCF reports from the school teachers that Cora is not being well taken care of, all of that was ignored. And I still have not gotten an answer out of anybody at Marion County as to why the heck that happened. And they have no one to blame but themselves if they don't ever solve this case, because they treated it as if she was out partying and just left and was not really missing, which was not true at all. Her roommate verified that she would never do that. Her sister told them she would never do that. And they drug their feet on any type of an investigation into the domestic violence that had been going on in her life since she was 15 years old. And it's sickening. It's sad. This is Joe, the father of Cora, her daughter. I have permission to show Cora because everybody that knows about this case, that understands this case, wants Cora to be put in protective custody and wants Michelle to be able to apply for custody of her niece. Because Joe, I'm telling you with everything I have that these two know each other. I know they do. Ocala's not that big. They both were into drugs. I have no doubt in my mind, based on the police records that I've read, the interviews that I've seen in the redacted police report, that these two characters knew each other, and they either both know where she is and what happened to her, or one of them knows. But this is your story right here. It's these three. It's going to come down to Joe or Tyrone, and we're all going to keep advocating. Michelle's Facebook page is on fire. She posts every day. She does videos. If you have Facebook, please go. You can go to my page and you'll be able to find her page. So most of you are on my page. If you need to know my page, just send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat box, but we have to keep advocating because these two characters know something, and they both have been arrested. Not Tyrone in this case arrested because he lied about his phone, and he lied that he wasn't at the party when he was at the party. So they charged him with obstruction. Joe was arrested within weeks of Sarah going missing when he had what I consider, in my opinion, as a social worker, was a narcissistic meltdown. He beat up a man at the hotel that he was the hotel manager of, and there's surveillance footage of him beating this man, and the man ended up with a brain bleed. Earlier that day, Joseph crashed his car after he met with his boss of the hotel and said out loud that he knows Sarah is no longer with us, that he thinks Sarah's dead. Now, how could he possibly know that when they hadn't even put out a missing flyer yet at that point? So the fact that the police did not bring him in for questioning, and I believe, in my opinion, they did have enough PC based on all the domestic violence, everything that was in the courts and on paper, that they could have gotten his phone and they could have searched his hotel room, because according to Michelle, Sarah had texted her that she wanted to see Joe and that she was willing to give him money because he was withholding her child from her. So this was an ongoing domestic abuse case for many years, from the time he started stalking her when she was in high school at age 15 and he was approximately 30, all the way until her disappearance when she was only 26 years old. So this is a case that deserves attention. Now, the good news is many of us have been writing to Nancy Grace, myself included, Hannah included. We've been writing, and our prayers were answered. Nancy Grace is going to air a segment about Sarah Ebersol. This could be extremely helpful to people that are out there that might have seen something or heard something, but didn't realize what they saw and don't pay attention. The local media has barely covered Sarah's case, barely covered it. And I'm just a small grassroots channel. I think we're at 996 now. So we're helping a little, but we're not Nancy Grace and we're not the media. So Sarah deserves someone way bigger and important than us, than social change warriors. She deserves Nancy Grace. She deserves to be on one of these big YouTubers like Surviving the Survivor. I've written to Joel and asked him to cover it. I've written to Gavin Fish and said, please, this is a very messy case and it deserves national attention. It's not any less messy or more messy than the cases they have been giving attention to the last few years. It deserves it. She deserves it. Sarah deserves it. Michelle deserves it. So that, I will let you know the air date. It was originally going to be May 27th, but I believe they've moved it up. But I haven't heard from Michelle yet. I don't know the date. So I will make sure and put that on all of my social medias for you. And we'll continue to update you on Wednesday when Nancy Grace is going to air Where is Sarah Ebersol? So that is very good news for the case. So this is Joe, the biological father of Cora, so we think. And he forced Sarah into adding his name to the birth certificate with threats and typical domestic violence crap. And then he changed her name without Sarah's permission. Her name was Dahlia. And I don't recall what her middle name was, but he changed her name to Cora, which was his mother's name. And then he put Dahlia in the middle, but he spelled it differently. So this SOB couldn't even honor the family's wishes, the mother's wishes, that Dahlia stay in the middle, spelled the way she spelled it, because of the control. That's what this abusive control is, ladies and gentlemen. When you're in a domestic violence situation, the man that's in your life, or if it's a woman on woman, or if it's a man on man, that person will always want to control you. They will want to have the final say on everything. They will want to make all the decisions. They will literally change the name of your child on a birth certificate without your permission, because that's just how nasty they are. That's just how evil they are. So this guy may look like the boy next door, who you would think was just it looks like a nice guy, right? Sweet guy. No, I've read everything that Michelle's ever given me, all of the nasty text messages, the gaslighting, Joe. I've read it all. I've seen your police reports. I know what you've done. Hashtag we know Joe. That's just because we do, because you did all these things. You put yourself in the system. You put yourself on court records. You put yourself on police reports. You can't threaten me to take me to court, because I'm only saying what the truth is. The truth is that you did all these things, and you need to come forward and help the police find Sarah Ebersol. And you need to let Michelle's family visit this child. It's absolutely appalling what you're getting away with, but it won't be for too much longer, Joe, because the law enforcement's not going to give up. They're going to keep on fighting to find Sarah. The DCF reports are going to keep coming in, because you are not being a good dad. So as long as you continue to have her in your custody, the schools are going to keep reporting you, because that's what they do. They look out for kids. And live streamers like me, we talk about people that are breaking the law. We talk about the facts and the stats, and we make our own judgment decisions based on our training and experience. And anything else is all your fault. You're the one that put yourself in this position by behaving the way you behave. So those of you that have not been on this case with me, please consider joining Where is Sarah Ebersol on Michelle's Facebook page. I also post almost everything Michelle posts. I share to my page. This woman deserves to be found. Her child deserves to have a better life than what she's been given for the last 2 years and 2 months. And we will continue to advocate for Sarah Ebersol and for Michelle Crystal Tullis and for Cora, for Dahlia. We will call her Dahlia. That's the name Sarah gave her. So I will update you more on Suzanne Clark Simpson next time, because I don't have all the facts of what's going on with this gentleman here, who was her husband, who I'm 99% sure unalived her and is refusing to tell anyone where he put her. He's pleading innocent, I believe. Same with Ashley Lachey Elkins. I'll get updates on her if they found this dear girl. Her fiance is also currently arrested, and don't know if he has a court date yet, but I'll continue to update you on her. So that's all we have time for tonight. We'll continue to, I will show Levita's documentary again at some point down the line, because definitely in October, because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I have a 5-part series that I do every October that teaches you more about domestic violence and all the signs and symptoms and prevention that you can help with if you have a family member or a friend. So I will definitely maybe see if Hannah wants to be part of that in October when we do Domestic Violence Awareness Month, possibly Michelle and some of our other family members of those who have been unalived. So I'll be giving you updates on Ellen Greenberg. That is currently, it was in the courts, and they have enough now evidence to, the new medical examiner is now looking over everything. And it looks like there will be an overturn of her unaliving herself to a homicide. So that should be coming very soon. I'm a little surprised we haven't heard on that yet. I emailed her parents the other day to see if they have heard anything. I've seen nothing in the media or the news. And her family has a page called Justice for Ellen, and that's on Facebook as well if you want to join that one too. So we will just keep on advocating for all of these beautiful survivors and supporting them. We'll continue to support Hannah. If you want to just let everyone know about your book that you wrote, I would like to end the night with you telling us about your book and about what's going to be happening when your ex does get out of jail, how you're planning to handle that.
Well, you spoke on October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October 13th is when he set me on fire in 2007. And he currently has an out date of October 13th, 2026. He can be released sooner than that. He has already served his mandatory 85%. So like at any given point, they could say, his name is Antonio Draper. They could say, Draper, you need to put in your home plan, and he could be released within 5 to 6 weeks at any given point for him being an honored inmate, and, overcrowding. So what I am doing, I published my autobiography, Heroes and Monsters. It's available on Amazon worldwide in paperback, Kindle, and Audible. And I am trying to raise as much awareness as I can. My ex-husband will not speak on his crime. He has told me that he will decline any interviews. And this is someone who is only going to be on supervision once he's released for 1 year, and has plans to buy an RV and travel around the United States, probably looking for his next, whatever you want to call it, survivor, I hope. It breaks my heart because at one point I was still in conversation with him. As a matter of fact, when I was writing my book, and I thought that he wanted to do the same things that I wanted, as far as not us be together. Do not confuse that. As far as I thought that he wanted to help other families, and specifically young men who were at risk or, had issues, prevent them from doing what he did. I thought he actually cared. No, that was manipulation. That was, and I hate the word, obviously I'm going to hate the word gaslighting, but that's what it was. He just wanted to tell me what I wanted to hear, which is what he always did 20 years ago when he got me back. He always told me what I wanted to hear. And of course that's I don't know. I lost the thingy. Can you still see me?
We can still hear you. Are you still there? Oh, we lost her a second. We'll give her a second to come back on. Well, she's getting her tech fix there. I am just going to let you guys know tomorrow night I'm expecting a guest, but it's possible they won't be able to come. They haven't been feeling well this week. So if I don't have the guest tomorrow night that I'm hoping to have, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Karen Reed case because we won't have time to do the things I want to do all on Friday night. Because Friday night we like to stick to going over the testimony and looking into seeing if they lied, did they tell the truth, were they evasive? So I wanted to talk about this a little bit tonight, but it was more important to cover Sandra Birchmore and to talk about Sarah and our other victims that we're standing for of domestic violence homicide. So tomorrow night, if my guest does show up, I'll still have plenty of time. So tomorrow night we'll go over this interesting situation with Karen. I kind of said she's the angry bee of the week, because if she did do this on purpose, good for her. If she didn't, of course, they're blowing it out of proportion. I don't know. Only she knows. Joe Flipperhead is one of the Twitter accounts I follow. That's not his real name, obviously. But he said, no, I don't think Karen was flipping off Yuri, but if she was, good, fuck him. And so I agree. Some of these cops are just absolute losers. They should not be a police officer. They don't deserve to wear the badge or wear the uniform. So if she was flipping Yuri off, good for her. she sort of almost got away with it, right? If she wasn't, if she was truly just had something on her eye, because I'll use my middle finger sometimes when my eye is possible that she did it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow night. But I want to cover a little bit about Carrie Roberts and this triangle of the Jen. Whoops, can you mute, Hannah? We've got that weird.
I know. I'm trying to actually. Yeah, I can now.
You're okay. Thank you.
I think it's gonna let me in and then let me mute.
Yeah, here, let me add you to the. Well, you're in. Yeah, you're definitely
Okay.
in. Yep, you're working. I can hear you. No worries. So I want to talk a little bit about, because for me, this is a little bit of an angry bitch about this triangle between Jen, Karen, and Carrie Roberts, and this bizarre friendship that they formed over their, as they put it, traumatic experience. Now, in a normal situation, it would absolutely be traumatic, but I believe that Jen already knew that John O'Keefe was passed. That's just my opinion. So she was just acting because, in my opinion, she already knew that he had been deceased. But Carrie would not have known that. She's sort of an innocent bystander in all this. But now afterwards, she's allowed herself to be wooed by Jen McCabe, and they've been in this bizarre friendship, which is only beneficiary to Jen. This is not a friendship that has been, a good thing for Carrie Roberts, and she'll figure this out eventually. I know most people are going to disagree with me in the Free Karen Reed movement, but I feel sorry for her, because this was not something she was not involved in this. She wasn't at that party that night. She wasn't even out at the bars with anybody. She was doing her own thing that night. Karen called her that morning because they were friends, sort of, I guess, because she was up for friendship with John. But the media portrays Carrie and John as being lifelong friends, and that's not actually accurate. They were high school friends. They went to prom together, I guess, or homecoming, one or the other, as friends. And then they lost touch for many years. They were not friends. They were barely even acquaintances for many years while she was doing her thing and getting married and having kids. He was doing his thing, being single, being a cop, and then raising his niece and nephew after his sister passed and her husband passed. They became friends again after he started raising the kids, because the kids knew each other via school. So the media kind of gets it wrong sometimes, right? So she was not a lifelong friend. Did they know each other their whole lives? Sort of. They knew each other in high school, and then they knew each other the last 8 years of his life. But the in-between part, they didn't talk at all. They didn't know each other at all. So I want to show a clip of the interview that she did on Good Morning. I think it was Good Morning America. And it included this kid here who was John O'Keefe's buddy in grade school and high school. So I want to talk a little bit about the weird dynamics of how that friendship has happened, and how Carrie unwittingly is now involved in corruption, whether she knows it or not. I want to give a shout out to Heather Maxon from the Angry Bees Club. I'll show the clip of this tomorrow night. The kind of winky smile that she gives the prosecution when she's saying sorry, not in my mind, she's going sorry, not sorry, because she gives the testimony that she did not see John O'Keefe in the car with Karen Reed, that only Karen Reed was in the car with the dome light on, and she did not see John laying in the front yard by the flagpole, which she would have clearly been able to see because there was not that much snow on the ground at 12:30. And Karen would have literally had to have just hit John for these kids in the truck to even see him anyway, because they pulled in behind Karen. They testified, all three of the kids in the truck, Ricky, Heather, and Ryan Nagel, Julie Nagel's brother, that they stopped at the T. So imagine that you're right across from somebody and you flash your lights and you let them turn in front of you. That's what the driver of the vehicle, Ricky, did to Karen Reed. He flashed his lights and let her turn in front of him down that street. So Karen Reed would have arrived in front of 34 Fairview, literally maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds max before the three young adults. If that would not given her enough time to do this crazy 3-point turn, they say that she did, and hit him and come backwards from the flagpole, because she would have had to have hit him before the kids got there. To me, this is a piece. Oh, we got our background again, Hannah. To me, this is a huge piece of this case, because these are your witnesses, people. Jen McCabe is not a witness. Matt McCabe is not a witness. Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert Jr., Julie Nagel. Well, Julie Nagel maybe, because she came out to the truck to talk to her brother to tell him she no longer needed a ride home, even though she asked for a ride home just 10 minutes prior. She suddenly doesn't need a ride home anymore. We could say, as a witness, because she would have seen if John O'Keefe had just been hit, he would probably have still been alive. In the front yard, no snow, really no snow, big headlights of Karen's SUV, the kids' truck's SUV. So to me, this is a huge component of this case, that these are your true witnesses to what did or did not happen. And the timing of this is crucial to what the CW is trying to get us to believe, the Commonwealth, right? So I'll play a little bit of her testimony tomorrow night. I love it when she gives the winky wink smile to the prosecution. I think she believes Karen Reed is innocent, because she knows that she did not see John O'Keefe in the yard or in the car. There's nowhere else he could have been at that point but in the freaking house. So to me, this woman is a hero. She gets the Angry Bitch Club Award of the night when she does this snarky little smile that we'll take a look at tomorrow. So then we'll have a little bit of a listen to a little bit of Jessica Hyde's commentary. She's taking a beating on social media. I think that's really wrong. She's an expert. She has no skin in this game. She is an expert. She was hired to be an expert. She's being an expert. Is she quirky? Absolutely. I find her a tad endearing. She is an individual who has her own personality. She wants to wear her scarf. Let her wear a scarf. I don't like social media for this. I don't like social media when somebody's not on your side and you decide to hammer them for their looks and the way they talk and the way they think and the way they look. That just makes you an imbecile in my mind. So if you're going to go after people just because you don't agree with them and you're going to take them down because of the way they talk or think or act or look or dress or how much they weigh, shame on you. You shouldn't be live streaming. Knock it off. So we will talk about Jessica Hyde. I don't agree with her opinion, but I agree with that she is somewhat of an expert. But experts aren't always right. Experts, they have an expert opinion for a reason. It's based on years of science that they've been involved in, their education, their training, their experience. I don't know, Hannah, I'm going to mute for a second so you can say something. Have you watched any of this trial? Technology wise, we'll find out when she comes back with us next week. So Julie says, Jessica Hyde is a great witness for the defense. She said the important parts and was adorably nerdy while doing it. Yeah, sometimes the witness for the prosecution can actually help the defense. That happens a lot in court cases and criminal cases. So we'll take a little look at her testimony. There's parts of it where I just find her completely endearing, like I just said a minute ago, with her very interesting personality. So we'll take a look at her tomorrow. And then the hot mic moment, guys, I had to go to the doctor today, and then I had to prep for this tonight. I don't know much about this, but Kara and Julie and Shauna, they all told me about it. So I'm going to be very interested to find the clip of this part of what happened today. Supposedly, and Julie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone else that's in the chat, supposedly at some point, Yannetti wanted a sidebar, and there was a hot mic with a female voice calling Yannetti an asshole. Did I get that right? I think so. Kathy, Kim, all of my Karen Reed trial people. I'm still catching up. I haven't even gotten to the rest of the day's witnesses after all of the officers went. So I'm on I think she was the scientist. I'm up to the scientist. So I missed this. So I will find the clip, or Kara said she was going to send me the clip, and we'll show that tomorrow night too. So either we will have a surprise guest for the first hour, and then we'll cover all of this after, or we will not have a surprise guest, and we'll just cover this all tomorrow night in our own fun, good time on calling out corruption. So I lost Hannah, but I do want to tell you all, she's a remarkable woman. I'm so grateful that I got the chance to meet her on this platform. I met her on Twitter X, I met her on Facebook. So I'm just grateful that I met her, and that we're able to advocate for her and for her safety coming up when her former husband gets out of jail, because this is a very dangerous time for victims of domestic violence. Has he served his time? Yes, he has. He has served his time according to what the courts put down for him when he went through his trial. I heard he's been a good prisoner, no problems whatsoever. Supposedly he's found God. So we have to give him the benefit of the doubt to a point, but not to the point of Hannah's safety. And we have another one of our survivors too, Sarah, who's the angry survivor. She's been on the show several times, live stream with us. Her person has been in jail and is trying to get out on bail, and he has attempted to unalive her at least 3 times. So she is constantly living in fear, and I need to reconnect with her. Hannah has met her, Levita met her. I need to reconnect with all of our survivors and have them all come on together, because this is a dangerous moment for domestic violence survivors. When the person who attempted to unalive them serves their time, does what they're supposed to do in the eyes of the law, but now have they been rehabilitated? I don't know, because if they don't give them counseling, for their anger management issues, for their narcissism, whatever they have on board that caused them to be a domestic violence abuser and to want to hit a woman and try to kill a woman, if they don't have counseling for that and some kind of psychotherapy while they're in prison, how are they any different than the day they went in? That is concerning to me. So we'll talk with Hannah more about that. So let's see here. Kathy, I heard it, Kathy. Check your text messages for a remake of Big Oops today. Oh, okay. Thank you. I will do that. And then I'll show that tomorrow night. Someone said a-hole, but I couldn't really tell. Yeah, I know it was a female voice, but a lot of people are telling me they think it was Judge Bev, which, it could have been one of the ladies sitting in front. It could have been the court reporter. It could have been the lady next to the court reporter. So I don't know if we'll be able to know or tell or not, but thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Kim. Thank you, Julie. Thanks to everyone else that showed up tonight in the live area, our friend zone. Thanks to all of you that were watching, as you say, lurking. I think they call it that on social media, that some people just like to come on the live streams and lurk. They don't want to have to talk in the friend zone, the chat box. They don't want to have to say a darn word, which is great. We don't need you to. You're welcome to. You're welcome to come up on the platform and talk if you want to. But thank you to everybody that came tonight. And thank you everyone on the replay for caring about our victims and their families and for all of the atrocity that they've had to go through. And now they're all looking for justice. And we're trying to help them find it by going over the police reports, meeting with the police when and if we can, and live streaming with all of you to try to get your opinions and to try to come up with theories and ideas of how we can help them to get justice for their family member. So thank you. I'll see you tomorrow night on Thursday night show, Calling Out Corruption, where we'll be doing a little bit of that and a little bit of this. And then Friday night, I'll be back with Julie, resident Bostonian, and a few other people have asked me to be on the platform. We'll see if they show up on Friday Night Lives. We'll go over the whole week of the Karen Read trial. So thank you, everyone. Please remember, all of those that have been alive are shouting at all of us down here, my life mattered. It is just us. We have to stick together. We're a community. We're a village. Social change warriors. Peace out. Good night. See you tomorrow.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives, we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered, it's the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a